Michigan State 7. Let's go to Mike Patrick.
Thank you, Roger. And this is Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, host to a sellout crowd of 73,650. The 157th consecutive sellout in Lincoln. They're here to see the undefeated Sun Devils of Arizona State face their Big Red of Nebraska. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and it's great to have you with us on ESPN for Arizona State against the Cornhuskers. A lot of things have changed over the years in Middle America, but not the traditional values like loyalty and the tradition of Big Red football. The night before a home game in Lincoln, Nebraska, Memorial Stadium is empty and waiting. The fans in Lincoln and the others who arrived early made their preparations the night before. The rest of the sellout crowd comes in on game day from Omaha, Fremont, Bellevue, and Battle Creek. And as we approach kickoff, you can see it's so much more than the student body. It's an entire state passionately involved in Big Red football. They do love their football here in Nebraska. Arizona State comes into Lincoln at 2-0 under a new head coach, and they think they have a shot tonight. For more on that club, let's go down to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Okay, thanks very much, Mike. For Arizona State, it is a season of new beginnings. John Cooper has left for Ohio State after 3 successful seasons, and Larry Marmee has taken over in Tempe. Marmee spent 20 years as a respected assistant coach. Some called him a defensive mastermind. But finally this year, he's living out his dream as a head coach for the first time. Marmee and the Sun Devils rely heavily on Daniel Ford, the fifth-year senior quarterback, who has them off to a 2-0 start with victories over Illinois and Colorado State. Waiting for the Sun Devils today, a huge test in mighty Nebraska as Marmee tries to begin his career 3-0. No Sun Devil coach has ever done that, and it won't be easy. They have lost a lot of talent from last year's team that went 7-4-1. Now, for more on the Cornhuskers, back upstairs to Kevin Kiley.
Thank you, Chris. Any team that has ever come to play here in Lincoln and meet Nebraska on their own home field will tell you when you play Nebraska, you not only go up against the players, but a coach, a city, and an entire state that has made winning a tradition. The architect of the Big Red success is head coach Tom Osborne. The field general is quarterback Steve Taylor. Under his leadership, the offense seems ready to roll, but the key to a championship season is with the defense. How well they perform will decide if Nebraska remains among the elite in college football.
Nebraska's defense was embarrassed 2 weeks ago when they gave up 41 points in that loss to UCLA. And Kevin, when they get embarrassed, things aren't real good.
Well, Mike, they've had 2 weeks to think about this, and there's a lot of angry Cornhuskers down there on defense. I think part of the problem is graduation. They lost 3 out of their front 4 to graduation, and they've had a problem at middle guard. Lawrence Pete will come back today at middle guard. He's a very good player. He's expected to have a good year, and he may anchor that front 4 for Nebraska, or front 3. One of the problems, I think, is they have not been able to stop the inside run. They didn't do it against UCLA. They'll have to do it today against Arizona State.
One thing Arizona State needs to beat Nebraska is probably a lot of points, and that's up to the quarterback, Daniel Ford.
Well, Dan Ford had some problems last year with the previous coaching staff. I think Dan Ford is a guy who has tremendous poise. He's got great ability. He's a guy that needs confidence. Today against Nebraska, I think he'll be asked to go against the underneath of the zone. He's got to be accurate. He's going to have to make some big plays. They have a lot of young people on the Arizona State team. He is not one of them. His maturity is going to have to carry this team. If it does, we got a close game.
Arizona State and Nebraska coming up. ESPN's presentation of CFA football is being brought to you by Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. By Dickies, they're America's favorite work clothes. And by 9X. Need to communicate? Need to compute? The answer is 9X.
Now, let's meet one of the favorites in these summer games.
From St. Louis Mo, to the heart of Seoul, he's Bud McKenzie, Bud Light's guru of goodwill. Fans the worldwide flock to his side, whether sharing Bud Light over kimchi or trading pens with Aussies and pens. He's a sensation with every nation.
Dickies takes this moment to salute some of America's greatest athletes, the American worker. He's on the job all year long. He trains for a lifetime, and he's chosen to depend on Dickies, the official supplier to the American worker, made with Fortrell polyester by Fiber Industries.
Computer companies, software companies, they're a dime a dozen. Thousands of them. True. So why is it always NINEX?
Hey, you want a dozen brands of software and computers?
Plus, stop, please.
Plus 100 years of telephone experience in one company?
Yeah.
That's NINEX.
So without NINEX, I suppose hell would freeze over?
Need to communicate. Need to compute.
No matter what unexpected problems should arise, Transamerica Property, Casualty, and Life Insurance can be there to protect you.
Hey, you big ape! Who's gonna pay for this mess?
Transamerica. For insurance and financial services, the power of the pyramid is working for you.
Tim Rando back in our college football studios. We're going to get you back out to Lincoln in just a moment. Let's quickly update some scores. A near upset for the Washington Huskies today, but they do close it out 35-31. Tony Covington, a 2-yard run with 1:25 to play, and the Huskies get UCLA next week. Miami had problems early, but bested Wisconsin 23-3. Oklahoma, as we've told you before, the Trojans with the win 23-7 over the Sooners. Auburn and Tennessee. Auburn had some difficulty early, but hung on and won it in a big way. South Carolina in a very big way at home at Williams-Brice Stadium over Vince Dooley's Dogs out of the SEC. Now, in the last 44 seconds, Greg Fry, a touchdown pass to Bobby Olive, has given Ohio State a 3-point lead over the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Tommy Hudson still has a chance with a couple of timeouts remaining. We'll update that final when we get it. Purdue and Notre Dame. It's 52-7 the final. The Fighting Irish getting it over the Boilermakers. West Virginia and Pitt. 31-10, the Mountaineers get it. Bino Cook's preseason #1 alive and well, thank you. Clemson and Georgia Tech 30-13. The Tigers get it done. Tracy Johnson, a big day along with Rodney Williams. Alabama over Vanderbilt 44-10. Bobby Humphrey, a touchdown pass, and Gene Jelks, a 37-yard punt return for a touchdown. And Rutgers was a big winner today. The upset of the day over Penn State, 21-16 the final. I'll be by with scores and highlights and interviews at halftime. Let's get back to Lincoln. Mike Patrick, Kevin Kiley, and Chris Fallon.
We're in Lincoln, Nebraska, another sellout. And the first time these teams met, Arizona State beat Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. Our director, Chip Dean, was on that Arizona State ball club. The series now tied at 1-1 because Nebraska won last year at Sun Devil Stadium 35-28. Arizona State has won the toss. They've elected to defer their choice to the second half, and they will kick off. Tom Osborne with the incredible record here at Nebraska. And Larry Marmee, 2-0 in his first year as the head coach, trying to go 3-0. No other Arizona State head coach has ever started his career at 3-0. Alan Zendejas will kick off to number 21, Richard Bell, and number 33, Dana Brinson. And 73,650 are here to watch it. Brinson, a yard deep. Got a seam. Stopped at the 27-yard line. A 27-yard return for Dana Brinson. The quarterback is Steve Taylor, the key to Nebraska's high-powered offense. Brian Carpenter, the fullback, in place of injured Sam Schmidt. Ken Clark, the I-back. Dana Brinson, who just returned that kick, the fastest man on the team. He's the wingback. The split end is Morgan Gregory, a junior. Todd Milliken, an excellent tight end when he's healthy. We'll check the interior line in just a moment. Spotted at the 28. Clark on the toss. Clark across the 30 to about the 34-yard line. That interior line for Nebraska, Jake Young is the Husker center. The guards, Andy Keeler and John Nelson, both seniors. The tackles, Bob Sledge and 295-pound Doug Glazer. Spotted at the 34. It's 2nd and 4. They show the wishbone. And Jamie Worden is in there. He stays in as they give it to Carpenter. Across the 35 to about the 38. Very close to a first down. The nose guard for that Arizona State defense, Don Schulanza. The tackle, a tremendous athlete, Shane Collins, a freshman. The defensive ends, the veteran up front, Sate Sapolu and Greg Jolson. The linebackers, Mark Tingstad, the club's leading tackler, and Drew Metcalf. The devil or rover back is senior Rodney Dillard. The corners, both junior college transfers, Eddie Stokes and Lawrence Hubley. The safeties, Robbie Boyd and Nathan LeDuc. They are measuring for the first down. And it is. Kevin, one of Arizona State's problem on defense, although it's been a problem in the history of their program, is they're not very big, and Nebraska is.
Yeah, they recruit guys that can run, Mike. They're going to try to be quick and try to chase them down, but you're right, the size could be a problem.
Taylor with his first pass and completes it to the sideline to Morgan Gregory. Run out of bounds over there by Eddie Stokes, the left corner, a gain of 8. Taylor completing almost 53% of his passes so far this year, as Nebraska has run up a 2-1 record, beating Texas A&M and Utah State, and then that big loss to UCLA 41-28 2 weeks ago.
You can also game, the Utah State game, and also the UCLA game. I think both of those games were aberrations offensively for Nebraska.
Carpenter, the fullback, across midfield into Arizona State territory, stopped at the 48-yard line. That will be another Nebraska first down, and it was Robbie Boyd, the strong side safety, the number 3 tackler on this ball club, who had to make the stop.
Well, Schulanza, number 96, is a junior college transfer. He doesn't do a bad job staying low, but he loses his feet. And you can see Carpenter able to go by him very quickly. Nose guard has got to take up 2 people, and he's got to keep his feet and gain leverage.
Clark and Carpenter, the backs in the eye behind Taylor. Clark on the toss. Room to run to the Arizona State 42-yard line. And right side linebacker Drew Metcalf made the stop.
Jake Young, number 68, is one of the fine centers in the Big 8, but he's not a big physical guy. Look what he does. He passes up. He's reading. He's looking for that offside linebacker, doing a crab, and trying to find that backside linebacker to cut off pursuit. He didn't get him there, but he did slow him down. Not a dominant physical guy, but a great athlete, and a guy who can get into the secondary and make blocks.
Nebraska making it look easy so far. 2nd and 4. Delay to Clark. Great stiff arm to get free, and then shows you speed and power to the Arizona State 37-yard line. Another first down. Lawrence Hubley made the tackle.
Well, Kenny Clark is not a big guy, but he's a physical guy. He's 5'9", he's 200 pounds, he's very, very strong. All Nebraska players are, because they spend so much time in the weight room, and they haven't been able to bust him loose, Mike, so far this year. He has not had big gainers. They're hoping they can do it today, almost on that play.
3 carries, 18 yards so far for Ken Clark. If you just joined us, opening moments, first quarter, no score. Nebraska took the opening kickoff, and they're marching. Double wing. Carpenter across the 35 to about the 33. Tingstad was right there, along with Metcalf. Metcalf and Tingstad, 2 of the leading tacklers, and Metcalf is really a story on this ball club. He's only a sophomore. He's scheduled to graduate at the end of this year. At the end of next year, he will have his master's, they say. And by the time he's through the end of his senior year, he will have a PhD, just the way you and I did it.
Yeah, we'll be able to say tackled by Dr. Metcalf.
That's right. 2nd and 6. Taylor on the option. Carpenter, the first option, keeps the ball to the 29.
The Arizona State defense, as you indicated earlier, not real big and kind of young. They're a little bit concerned about some of those people. Shane Collins is an excellent athlete, but he's a redshirt freshman, number 83 on the defensive line. The rest of the people need some time to grow. They're very aggressive, and they will read on the run, but they can't afford to play base defense. They're going to have to move around against Nebraska.
3rd and 2. They go back to the I. Clark behind Carpenter. Bell in motion. Clark. First down as he gets to the 25-yard line. LeDuc came up and hit him after Tingstad had wrapped him up.
Tingstad, not very big, 6'1", 211 pounds. That's a problem. You can't take people on straight up. Number 59. Watch Clark. He does exactly what an I-back has to do. This thing's supposed to go outside. He cuts it back inside, and Tingstad, number 59, does a real good job of waiting in the hole so he doesn't overrun the thing and makes the play. Very smart, these two inside linebackers for State.
Set up in the bone, and Taylor on the option to the short side, and that one is stuck. Getting over there in a hurry was Sate Sapolo. He is the veteran on this defensive line, number 94, a senior. He is very, very quick.
Very quick. They ran it to the short side, and there was nothing there. Arizona State did a good job of closing it down. You have less room to run the option. Sapolo's a guy, Mike, that they really expected him to play better than he has this year. Even though Arizona State is 2-0, they feel they could have played a lot better. But they're happy with the progress of the team. It's just a very young team.
2nd and 10. Taylor in the passing department so far 1 for 1. Looks like he's changing the play. He'll give it to Clark on the straight power play. And Clark down to about the 23. Tingstad is in there again. He's around the ball all the time, as those inside linebackers have to be. And getting up off the bottom of the pile is Greg Jolson, number 69, and Robbie Boyd, number 26. So 3rd and long now for Nebraska. 3rd and 8. There's Larry Marmee on the sideline. Chance to meet with him last night. Very affable head coach after 20 years as an assistant. Four-man rush and plenty of time now. Pressure. Taylor throws for the end zone. 3 guys are back there out of the end zone. No touchdown, even though Gregory made the catch. And that ball looked like it floated a little bit on Steve Taylor because Gregory was wide open.
He was wide open, and that was an excellent play by Taylor. What he wants to do is he wants to throw it to 33, Dana Brinson. But the Sun Devils have him covered right there. And now Taylor sees Gregory break free off the back foot, and the thing is just a little bit long, and he gets a little help from the State defense. Foot on the line, you see, as he's going out. Good coverage early on. Brinson made that play for State.
Chris Drennan will try a 40-yard field goal. Plenty of distance and right down the pipe. So Nebraska's opening drive ends with a 40-yard field goal, and the Cornhuskers take a 3-0 lead on Arizona State.
Prior to owning the Chevrolet, I had a Ford. Well, I switched to the Chevy because I like the look better than the Ford. I found out that they had completely redid the truck. You need a 4-wheel drive truck. You don't want to have to get out and lock your wheels in. If you want to go into 4-wheel drive, you can just shift into it. This Chevrolet truck is the best vehicle I have ever owned.
Heartbeat of America, that's the Chevy truck.
If you don't believe it, just go out and try it yourself.
We offer America something really new, a product that's better without being more complicated. We designed the TempStar heat pump to do both heating and cooling. And even though it's one of the most efficient heat pumps anywhere, we kept it simple because nothing endures like simplicity. The reliable, money-saving, high-efficiency TempStar heat pump Brought to you by your Tempstar dealer.
Husky, born to work, bred to last. Pound for pound, nothing works like a Husky. The Husqvarna chainsaw, they call it Husky. Raw power and lightweight make it the professional's choice. It won't let you down. Nothing works like a Husky. The Husky Model 40 is now only $259.95. See the yellow pages for your nearest Husqvarna dealer.
Tonight's game is being brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy trucks. By Tempstar, the newest name in home heating and air conditioning. You can rely on the Star. And by Paramount Lawn and Garden Grooming Tools. Paramount, leading by design. 3-0 Nebraska. They take the opening kickoff, and their opening drive results in a 40-yard field goal, 3-0. And now Tom Janke, the sophomore, will kick it away. David Winsley and Victor Cahoon, 37 and 31 respectively, deep to receive for the Sun Devils of Arizona State. Low line drive kick. Winsley. A yard deep after letting it bounce a couple of times, and they stack them up just outside the 10-yard line. Let's look at Arizona State on offense. Daniel Ford, the Sun Devils veteran quarterback. He's completing nearly 2/3 of his passes so far. Senior Kirk Wendorf and sophomore Victor Cahoon are the running backs. The receivers who need to have a good day, Chris Garrett and Leland Adams. Ryan McReynolds is the tight end, a position stripped by injury. The center is Eddie Grant, who won the job this week. The guards, inexperienced even though they are, seniors Larson and Claypool. Fidel Underwood and Scott Kirby are the tackles. Tough way to start for Arizona State at their own 11. And they'll give it to the fullback, Wendorf. And Wendorf, who didn't play a week ago because of an injury, picks up a couple. For Nebraska on defense, Lawrence Peak gets the call at nose guard. Griffin and Brungard at the tackles. That could be a trouble spot for the Huskers. Leroy Etienne and Pat Tyranes are the inside linebackers. The outside backers, Broderick Thomas, the leading tackler, and Jeff Mills. The excellent secondary has Lorenzo Hicks and Charles Friars at the corner. Reggie Cooper and Tim Jackson are the safeties. Cahoon. Pete slowed him up a little bit, and then Pat Tyrants knocked him down as he crossed the 15.
Things to look for after 2 weeks since that UCLA game. Nebraska felt that they missed a lot of tackles. They, in fact, did miss a lot of tackles in that game. They thought most of those gains, those long touchdowns by the Bruins, should have been 5-6-yard gains. So look for Nebraska to be a little better at tackling.
3rd and 5. The one thing Arizona State cannot do is make mistakes early. Ford on the half roll. Good protection, and it's picked up. Intercepted by Tim Jackson, the free safety, his second of the season.
Tim Jackson is a guy that pro scouts are looking at, a Nebraska defensive back that can really play. Now Ford makes a mistake. He throws right into the zone. See Jackson underneath in front of Garrett? There's nothing there. Something that Ford could not do early, and he knows it.
Second interception of the season for Daniel Ford, and Nebraska starts with great position at the Arizona State 28. Clark on the delay. Big hole up the middle, nearly to the 20-yard line. Gain of about 7 yards. And Metcalf and Tingstad had to bring him down along with Robbie Boyd, the safety.
Now, one of the problems against Nebraska is they're so big and powerful, you have to keep your defense off the field. When you have a long drive, as Nebraska did on their first possession, and then you turn the ball over after 2 downs on the 3rd down, it's very tough on a small, young, inexperienced defense to have to go back on the field.
Clark has been busy in the first quarter, 6 carries, 30 yards already. Clark again behind Carpenter to the 12-yard line. Nathan LeDuc, the free safety, made the tackle along with Dillard, the rover back.
Number 76, John Nelson, 6'1", 260, and a good one. Watch the trap. It's actually a little fold block. Nelson free, able to pick up a linebacker, just pushing people back. Nebraska big and strong, a lot bigger and stronger than Arizona State.
First down, Big Red at the Arizona State 11. Full house backfield. Carpenter. Not this time. And that was Shane Collins, the freshman. For a score update, let's go to Tim Brando.
All right, Mike, and we'd like to welcome those of you that have been watching this game. The Buckeyes of Ohio State with 44 ticks on the clock remaining. Quarterback Greg Fry back in the pocket. They're trailing in this game, and he hits his man. Bobby Olive for the touchdown, and guess what? The Buckeyes come from plenty down to win this one 36-33. John Cooper. Boy, it's sometimes good and sometimes bad for him, right?
Well, Tim, you're right. A huge win after what we saw Ohio State do against Pittsburgh last week. Taylor on the scramble. He's got room. Touchdown. Taylor on the scramble from 11 yards.
Well, Taylor absolutely killed Arizona State last year, and he's doing it again this year. State has a speed advantage except for maybe one player, and that's number 9, Taylor.
Brennan out of Cypress, California, out of the hold of Godowski, the backup quarterback. And he missed it. Wide on the extra point.
Steve Taylor wants to go to the left on this thing, but you're going to see the Sun Devils stop it. They close him down here. The problem is the backside guy got blocked right past your screen. You saw him. There's nobody here to stop Taylor from going the other way. And this kid's pretty big, 205 pounds. When he puts his nose to the goal line, he's in.
Six minutes, 45 seconds to go first quarter.
It's Chevy S10 versus Ford Ranger, folks, in the dash from destruction. 2 compact pickups with biggest available engines and automatics in a test of getaway acceleration. Which one has the power to win? Chevy's bigger V6 is pulling away from Ford and that runaway dynamite car. Chevy S10 is outpowering Ford. No wonder when it comes to pickups, America is having a change of heart.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
The American dream is many things, and one of the most important is a comfortable home with central heating and cooling. Tempstar makes that dream more affordable with heating and cooling systems that are highly efficient and completely reliable. For the name of the Tempstar dealer nearest you, call 1-800-447-2882. We'll send you this free home comfort guide. When you know the difference, you rely on Tempstar and your Tempstar dealer.
Cars aren't cheap, never have been. That's why I never take shortcuts with cheap oil and air filters. Give me AC filters every time. AC filters match the original specs on my cars like a nut on a bolt.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $8.80 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details.
Neither one of these ball clubs thought that this was going to be a 3-touchdown game. They thought it was going to be very close. The odds makers said it was a 3-touchdown game, and so far, Nebraska is making it look that way. Cahoon on the short kick from the 12. Across the 20 to about the 23. And the Sun Devils, who turned it over the first time they had it, will have a second chance. Marvin Sanders made the tackle on special teams. And that drive only needed to go 28 yards after the interception, and Taylor finished it off 11 yards out.
They were saying Nebraska's defense needed to gain a little confidence after that 28-point first quarter against UCLA. Certainly the offense is providing the opportunity.
Ford, you saw those were the stats coming in, that he made his second interception earlier in this quarter. Ford looked like a busted play, had to cut it back inside, and then Ford gets busted. Willie Griffin, number 84, playing with a sprained knee, came in to make the tackle.
Well, I can think of 3 plays now. The opening kick, or at least the first kickoff, Arizona State had a chance to field. That ball should have been down. They should have had the ball on the 20, but the player brought it out. Then you have the interception, and then that play. And Arizona State cannot afford to do this in Lincoln.
Look a little shaky right now, and they need something to build that offensive confidence. Nice play fake by Ford. Drops it off for the fullback, Wendorf, and he lost it. They'll rule it an incomplete pass, very close to a catch, and then a fumble. And they look nervous right now, Kevin.
Well, it's a young team, but Wendorf isn't young. Wendorf is a senior. And this play just develops pretty well. It wasn't going to go for big yardage, but Wendorf is there to make the catch. He must have thought he was going to get hit. Actually, they're pretty lucky. That ball could have been called either way. It definitely was not. He did not have possession, but I think the referee could have called it either way.
3rd down, 10. Sun Devils at their own 23. They have 5 yards in total offense in the first quarter. Ford to the shotgun. Quarterback draw. Nice spinning move across the 30 to the 32-yard line, but he's going to be 1 yard shy of a first down.
One of the most aggressive players in the nation, of course, is Broderick Thomas, outside linebacker, defensive end for Nebraska, number 89. He took an outside rush, and Ford, well-designed play, stepped right inside of him. We'll see that one again.
Dana Brinson is back to receive the kick of Mike Shue. Shue, one of the fine punters in the country, gets off a good one, and Brinson at the 19. And Brinson will only get a couple of yards. A flag also goes down at the end of the play. Darren Woodson, a linebacker, down to make the catch. 49-yard punt, only a 1-yard return. And Arizona State came into this ball game ranked in the top 20 in the United States in net punting, and that won't hurt their average. Gene Kramer, the referee, calls a clip. And here's what Shue has done so far this year, a gaudy 45.2 average. That is 6th in the country. If he maintains it, it would be a school record for punting average.
In a close game, in a close game, Mike, he could play a very big part. In the pregame warm-ups, I was watching him. He was kicking the ball from the opposite 40. He was laying him out at the 1-yard line. So he's got a leg.
I think the key, as you said, in a close game.
Yeah. Well, that was a very, very big play for Arizona State,
Sure
down 9-0. At least they have some field position defensively. It's my belief that they have to take some chances. They've got to stop the inside running game and then take some chances on 3rd down and obvious passing situations.
Clark, Carpenter, and Brinson, the full house backfield behind Taylor. Option. Now Taylor wants to throw under pressure down the middle. Had a man wide open and overthrew him. Because of that pressure, it was his tight end, Milliken.
And Milliken was wide open.
Robbie Boyd, the free safety, was the guy who almost got the sack.
Boyd's a very physical guy. You can see him just at the end of the play there, getting his hands on Taylor. Look how strong Taylor is.
Yeah.
Taylor normally you would underthrow that play, and Taylor, with a guy hanging on him, he overthrows the tight end.
Boyd already had his arms wrapped around him, and it was like Taylor didn't even notice. 2nd and 10, Nebraska up 9-0. Clark. And Arizona State a better job that time. And it was number 69, Greg Jolson, the defensive end, former walk-on, who played it well on the outside.
Jolson played it well, but Robbie Boyd was the guy again. He came up and he jammed that blocker enough for Jolson to get inside and make the play. That's pretty good team defense.
And the guy he jammed is 295 pounds.
That's a lot of jamming. All right, here's why I say they need to take chances. You have 3rd and long. I say you got to bring somebody. Look for something wide from Nebraska here.
And the officials will stop the clock. And Arizona State has asked for a timeout with 4:32 to go in the first quarter. It's the Cornhuskers 9, the Sun Devils nothing. Back in a moment.
Hi. I've been looking all over for this terrific video cassette I heard about. It's called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports. There's scenes where Daryl Dawkins renovates NBA backboards.
That's a fantastic video. The all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports is 45 minutes of the funniest film I've ever seen.
Great, so you have it.
No store has this version, but you get it free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. You get 25 weeks of SI, including the Pro Football Preview, the beautiful swimsuit issue, the Summer Olympic Special issue, the commemorative Olympic pin set,
And the all-new Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
You get it all. Just call Sports Illustrated's toll-free number, and you'll get SI for over 47% off the cover price. Just 3 monthly installments of $9.89 each. You can even use a credit card.
I gotta get to a phone. What's that number again?
Here, 1-800-777-2100.
Hi, have you heard of a video cassette called The All-New Not-So-Great Moments in Sports?
Ever tried watching every NFL game? Miss anything? Well, Sunday, see all the key plays from every game on ESPN's NFL Primetime. Week after week, NFL Primetime is football's finest hour with Chris Berman, Pete Axthelm, and Tom Jackson. See it all in one place. NFL Primetime. Sunday nights at 7:15 Eastern on ESPN.
Nebraska up 9-0 with 4:32 to go first quarter. The Huskers have the ball deep in their own territory, 3rd and 8. Carpenter the lone setback. Taylor to throw. Under pressure, unloads and throws it out of bounds. Gregory, the closest man to it. He was closely covered by Hubley, but it was Israel Stanley who was putting the pressure on senior Steve Taylor.
Nice job again by Arizona State's defense. Number 68, Israel Stanley, was a linebacker who's very, very quick, being held by Jake Young and then pushed by Jake Young, but he still got there. And the ball up for grabs in that crowd outside the end line.
John Croker, averaging 42 yards a kick, will punt to Nathan LeDuc. He's averaging more than 11 yards a return so far this year. Good kick, LeDuc from his own 47. Backpedaling. Got to the 46-yard line. Let's get down to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Okay, thanks, Mike. You know, Nebraska has a different strategy in developing their players than most schools. They have a freshman and junior varsity team. They play games against other junior varsities and junior colleges. So far this year, they're 2-0. They've won 83-6 and 68-0. The reason they have a freshman team, coaches want the players to develop playing in games instead of just redshirting them. So far, it seems to be working, Mike.
It has for a long time, Chris. Thanks very much. Perkins and Fisher, new running backs in the ball game behind Daniel Ford. Fake to Perkins. Ford with time and throws deep. He's got his not his tight end, Chris Garrett, the flanker back, and Garrett, touchdown. The senior who had not scored a touchdown this season in the first 2 ball games takes the bomb from Daniel Ford, and all at once the butterflies disappeared.
Yeah, I'll say they did. Great protection, and what a pass. You know, last year was the same thing. Arizona State had trouble converting 3rd downs, but they scored on big plays against Nebraska, and that coverage was not bad, Mike. It was not bad coverage. It's a great pass by that man, Ford.
Alan Zendejas, the younger brother of Luis and Max, will try the point after. And he has it. And now that missed point after by Nebraska may start to play a little bit bigger factor.
All right, great protection here for Ford. Now, this guy has gotten off the floor his entire career. Early in the game, he did not play well. Watch this pass. This thing is about an inch over the outstretched arms of the defender. That looks like Hicks into Garrett's hands. Lorenzo Hicks was the guy. He had good coverage. The ball was just perfectly thrown.
Then Garrett made a great move to get free of another defender and get it into the end zone. Well, that's exactly what they needed.
Keep it up, buddy. Well, you know, State has that speed advantage, and Nebraska wanted to play zone in this game. They don't want to get caught on the speed advantage, but evidently there they had Hicks on man-to-man on Garrett. It did not work. And Garrett There's a talking it over there on the Nebraska sideline for special teams. Garrett playing with a navicular bone strain in his chest. He was injured coming into this game. It didn't seem to bother him there.
He was second on the team last year with 4 touchdowns. Got his first of 1988 on that one.
Just great protection, too, for Ford on that. He just stood there and stood there. He was able to get it off.
And you're right about Ford. He is a fighter. 4th head coach in 4 years. It's a lot of systems to have to learn.
Yeah, it really is. He started at Minnesota, and then he's had a bunch of coaches at Arizona State.
Brinson and Bell are deep to receive. That's Dana Brinson, the speed burner. And Zendejas will kick off. Arizona State all of a sudden back in this game, down by only 2. Brinson, 3 yards deep. He'll bring it out. And he won't get back to the 20-yard line, and Arizona State did an excellent job on special teams. A gain of only 17 on the return. Terrence Johnson, one of the Devilbacks, made the tackle. And that drive, it doesn't take long when you go 54 yards a shot. Garrett from Ford. Now Arizona State, after a good defensive stand, we'll see if they're able to do it again against a potent Nebraska offense.
Well, Mike, Nebraska has to establish the inside run again.
Tyrese Knox into the ballgame, number 34. He's the fullback. Clark will get the toss. And Clark fought his way across the 20, knocked out of bounds to the 22-yard line. Jolson and Collins were the guys who forced him out. And all at once, Arizona State looks settled down.
I have to tell you about that play there, Mike. You know, they're settled down, but they're also their speed. I mean, they do have an advantage against the bigger Nebraska team in speed. When you run a toss sweep into the boundary, the play doesn't develop quickly. It's very easy to read, and you can see how quickly the Sun Devils got to the sideline there and stopped that play. I still say they've got to come right at them. Nebraska has to come right at Arizona State.
And the biggest holes have been straight up the middle so far in this game. 2nd and 5. Clark. And that was the freshman Shane Collins, who just shot through and made the tackle. Collins also one of the best shot putters in the country. He was number 2 in the Pac-10. And he has a vertical leap that's the highest on the team, 37.5 inches.
As a freshman, and watch how quick he comes from the backside, number 83. And there's your quickness again. Now they're slipping the blocks. The only way you can stop a team from slipping the blocks is to go right at them, get shoulder to shoulder, straight ahead. And this is where Nebraska does not want to be. 3rd and long.
3rd and 6 from the 22. Taylor, he'll try to keep it himself. Under pressure, throws, just threw it away. And there was not a Nebraska receiver anywhere within 15 yards of that one. He just got rid of it. Tingstad was the guy who was putting on the pressure.
Great job by Nathan LeDuc here. Watch number 29. This is where Taylor wants to go, but there's nothing there. And they also do a great job covering Taylor as he tries to get outside. And I'll tell you, Arizona State's defense, again, if you go wide on Arizona State, they will outrun you. If you go right at them, they're a little bit small.
Taylor's completed only 1 out of 5, 8 yards. Croker back to punt his first one, 41 yards. Good foot into this one again, and LeDuc at the 40. He'll get 1 yard on that return, knocked out of bounds. But once again, Arizona State will have pretty decent field position after Morgan Gregory made the tackle. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. It's the NASCAR Winston Cup Goodies 500. Darrell Waltrip defending his championship against the 3 top point leaders, Phil Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt. Well, the Nebraska fans, once again, a sellout crowd of 73,650, really enjoyed the first 7 minutes because their club was running over Arizona State. 9-0. All at once, they're starting to say, hey, guess these guys can play after all. Perkins, the new tailback, lowered his head and got it out to the 44-yard line, where Leroy Etienne made the tackle. Etienne, one of 2 players on this defense from Louisiana. He's from New Iberia. Reggie Cooper, the strong safety from Slidell. And Kevin, they told us they got these guys after they played in the Sugar Bowl and were able to have the team down there in Louisiana and show them what they could do.
Both players of the year. I believe Etienne for sure was the Louisiana Defensive Player of the Year, and Nebraska picked him up.
2nd and 7. once again, it's the tailback, Perkins, to midfield and maybe a half-yard shy of a first down. Broderick Thomas and Reggie Cooper, the safety, made the tackle.
Bruce Perkins is a load, 6'3", 215, and this offensive line isn't bad either. Look at the job they do on the front. Look at the holes here, and there's a missed tackle by Etienne, I believe, coming across. Missed tackles have been a problem. If Arizona State runs on Nebraska, Nebraska's in trouble.
3rd and a foot. Daniel Ford looking to the sideline. The clock is down to 8 seconds. Perkins behind Fisher. He hurdles, has the first down across the 49-yard line in Nebraska territory. Remember what happened last year. Nebraska won it 35-28, but Arizona State was driving at the end of the ballgame.
Yeah, this is not a bad football team, Arizona State. They've got a pretty good offensive line. Both tackles are back. Perkins at 215 pounds goes airborne, and nobody is there to catch him, so he gets that first down. There really isn't much wrong with the offensive line. They lost Randall McDaniel and Todd Kalis, the two great offensive guards, but the tackles can play, and so can the centers.
And the guards are pretty good players. They're just inexperienced. 1st and 10. Ford goes to the shotgun. Here comes the blitz by Nebraska. They set up a screen and knocked away by Broderick Thomas. Almost made the interception. That could have been a giant of a play either way.
Okay, this play does not work because of the pass. This play is set up perfectly. Broderick Thomas just found himself in the right place. Watch how short this pass is by Ford. This team, Nebraska, is fooled. It's perfect. That ball had to be lofted. If it's lofted, you see right behind him? There's your receiver, Kelvin Fisher. Thomas just found himself in the right place, but I guess All-Americans do that from time to time.
Don't they ever? Fisher, the intended receiver, is a freshman who played last week, gained 98 yards on the ground. Ford, good protection again over the middle, and it's complete. He got it to Leland Adams, and Adams to the 10, to the 5, and knocked out of bounds. As far as protection and execution, almost identical to the touchdown play. Lorenzo Hicks ran him out of bounds. That's a gain of 46. So on 2 big pass plays, Kevin, that's 100 yards in the air.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this is a pick here almost. Watch Garrett, the inside receiver. He's going, he's running him off. Not really a pick, but underneath, a perfect pass right in the chest and down to the Nebraska goal line. That's where they're vulnerable. If they don't get to you, you can hit them in the secondary, underneath.
Adams from West Covina, California. Came in averaging 28.5 yards a catch. Pickens. Boy, it looked like he had a hole, and it closed in a hurry. Ty Rance and Leroy Etienne made the tackle.
Remember what we talked about early in the game? We talked about the interior line of Nebraska and how difficult it has been for them to replace guys like Jones and Smith and Rother from last year. They have not replaced them.
Fisher, the up back. Pickens, the deep man in the aisle. Pickens on the toss. Good block. Cut back, ran into his own man. Got it into the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona State. Pickens, the junior college transfer who led the nation in rushing last year at Butler County Community College, more than 2,000 yards, and Perkins really turned it up that time.
All right, big play sets it up, and then it's just power. Here they come, bouncing off his own people. Again, 215 pounds, and that's big enough. And Nebraska's got a problem on the interior defensive line.
And Arizona State lines up to go for 2. Ford, and it's short and incomplete. Intended for Fisher out of the backfield. Ford had to unload before he was ready. And under the pressure of Reggie Cooper, the strong safety coming on the blitz. But Arizona State has taken the lead 13-9.
Talking to the coaches, Mike, they all felt they could win this game. They were worried about their young people. I know Tom Osborne was worried about his defense, and evidently the defense has not gotten it together yet. Take another look at Perkins here from the backfield in the I formation here. Going left. What he's doing, he's reading. He's looking for a hole. ADN overruns it, runs into his own man, and here you got a missed tackle again. Cooper comes in late, but not before he gets over the goal line. You've got to be able to stop that guy on a dime on the goal line.
And missed tackles killed them at UCLA. They turned 5-yard gains into big ones.
They felt last week, if you look at Broderick Thomas, or 2 weeks ago, they felt the reason they were missing tackles is because they were trying to hit people too hard, coming up too quick, not taking the right angle. Maybe, maybe not.
Bell and Brinson once again deep to receive, and this sellout crowd is stunned. They haven't had an empty seat in this place since 1962. And they won't either. But it is a very quiet 73,650 right now. Brinson across the 25 to the 26-yard line, stacked up there. And it was Scott Walker, an inside linebacker, who made the tackle on the play. Keep you up to date on some of the scores from around the country, and as usual, there have been some surprises. Oklahoma State leading Texas A&M 17-0. Maryland over NC State. That's a second quarter score. Navy and Citadel tied second quarter, and we'll keep you up to date on the others as we go along. So now the ball is in Nebraska's court at their own 27. The fake to Knox. Taylor on the keep. Nice cut. Taylor shoved out of bounds by LeDuc, but not before he got to his own 44-yard line. 17-yard gain for the senior from Fresno, California.
We'll talk about missed tackles. Taylor sliding through there. Let's take a look at Tingstead, the inside backer. He gets cut off, but really it's not his responsibility. That play happened on the line of scrimmage, and Taylor just made a good sideways move and got up the field. But I really believe that that's not the way they're going to win this game. They're going to win it right up the middle.
Right now they're down 13-9. This will be the last play of the first quarter. 3 seconds on the stadium clock. Clark again on the toss. Good blocking in front of him. Once again to the short side. He lost that ball, fumbled it, but it went out of bounds at the Arizona State 49-yard line. Saute Sapolo, the man over there, pushing him out of bounds, and Tom Osborne concerned as the first quarter comes to an end with Arizona State on top of the heavily favored Huskers, 13-9.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got a leak here, somewhere in the wall. I just hope I can get to it before it gets too bad.
At times like this, now you can choose this. New Maximum Strength Pepto-Bismol. Now there's twice the medicine, twice the Pepto.
Maybe you haven't heard. People who fly United and drive Hertz don't have to lug luggage anymore. Now you can check in your bags when you check in your car. Get United boarding passes and seat assignments right at the Hertz counter. You go straight to the gate while your bags go straight to the plane. If you fly United.
Airlines, please. United.
United Airlines. Rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
There must be something I haven't heard.
Come fly the friendly skies.
Daddy, I want my teddy bear.
I want my soda.
Grandma, isn't this fun?
Oh. I want my Serta.
Here's why people want their Serta. Why they're spoiled for any other mattress. Only Serta goes beyond just being firm. Beyond what others do. We top our support with the extra comfortable Serta surface. A unique difference you can feel in a Serta Perfect Sleeper.
I want my Serta.
In 1.3 billion years, our sun will burn out, leaving us in total darkness. We say it's never too early to stock up for the big night. Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob Light?
Nobody likes compromises. Everybody wants a car that does everything. The new Mazda 626 handles all those practical things you expect from any family sedan. But it also knows how to handle roads like these. So if there was ever a car that let you have your cake and eat it too, Sure hope you're hungry. Mazda 626, a sophisticated family sedan, the Mazda way.
You're watching ESPN, where Arizona State is leading Nebraska 13-9. Mike Patrick, Kevin Conley, and Chris Fowler. Glad you could join us for this one. Nebraska at the Arizona State 49. Tyrese Knox on the fake. Taylor with a key. Knocked down by Drew Metcalf, the linebacker, but he's got a first down inside the Arizona State 40-yard line.
Nebraska stretches you laterally, Mike. They run the ball well inside. They can throw when they have to, although I don't believe they're a great throwing team. But when they run that option, boy, they'll just kill you. They're 1 for 5 for 8 yards today, and of course that's what State would like to do, is make Nebraska throw the ball.
Taylor has gained 37 yards on the ground. They have not run a play to wingback Dana Brinson yet, and he is one of the most dangerous guys on the field when he touches it. Clark right up the middle to the Arizona State 31-yard line. That is Nebraska power football. Metcalf again on the tackle.
One of the problems with a young player, 83, Shane Collins, you get too high, you get your pads too high. See how his hat's so high above the Nebraska offensive lineman? He's out of the play. Clark just runs over him as he goes by. Got to stay low, but he's young, and they say he's going to be a great one.
What did Larry Marmee say the other night? He said that his young players want to stand up and see what's going on.
Yeah, I tell you what's going on if you stand up. You'll be looking at the big number all night.
Clark in motion. Bell on the wingback play, and they ran into each other. Now Taylor throws near side and throws too high, out of bounds. Well, they didn't have Brinson in there at the wingback that time. They had Richard Bell, number 21, and a mix-up in the backfield as two backs ran together. Third and 2, Nebraska. That was a pretty good play call on 2nd and 2.
Yeah, if that was the play, that was a pretty crazy play. It'd take 3 weeks
to practice. Not sure what play it was. They'll go straight up the middle instead with Clark, and he didn't get it at all. Got back to the line of scrimmage, stopped at the 31-yard line, and it will be 4th and a long yard, maybe 2. Shane Collins made the tackle.
Well, we had Collins when he did badly. Here he is, number 83, still a little bit high, goes off his feet, but he keeps his head up. He's able to see what's going on, and he makes the tackle.
And Nebraska will go for it on 4th and about 1.5 yards from the Arizona State 31.
You got to come after Taylor on this play. He's going to pick a side, and I got to believe they're going to run the option.
2 tight ends. Pitch to Clark. First down and more. Look out. 10, 5, touchdown Nebraska. Well, what a first half. On the short yardage situation, once he got beyond the line of scrimmage, it was see you later.
I guess everybody was looking for the option on that play. A toss sweep, straight ahead power behind John Nelson and Doug Glazer, and it worked well.
Barrios is on for the point after. And he hits his 5th straight point after the season.
Watch 76 and 70. State had to sell out on defense to try and keep from getting a yard, and they got out of position. See how they overrun the ball. Clark does a nice job reading the blocks, and then it's just a track meet, and he wins it for another Nebraska touchdown. Hey, you take a look at the tailback. He reads that block. He knows there's nothing inside. He could go either way now. He picked the right way to go, obviously, for 31 yards and a touchdown. Good player. They're trying to break this guy all year. He's having a big first half.
Nathan LeDuc had the last shot at him. Couldn't bring him down.
Well, the problem with that play, I think, is your inside backers are coming hard because you only got a yard, and what you do is you come straight for the line of scrimmage, and you just get yourself out of position. 31-yard touchdown, 14 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown for Clark, and we're still in the second quarter with over 13 minutes to go.
13:04 to go first half. 16-13 Nebraska. They had a 9-0 lead, but Arizona State came back on them. Cahoon and Winsley deep to receive. This is Winsley at the 6. Good kick return. Couldn't keep his balance, got it out to the 22 and no more. Etienne was down on kickoff coverage. That drive, 2 minutes, 6 seconds, 73 yards, and Clark finished it off from 31 yards out. This has been an entertaining game so far, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I thought early in the game it looked like it might be a blowout.
Daniel Ford has Fisher and Perkins behind it. Nice play fake. Taking a while to develop deep down the middle and incomplete. On the coverage was Fryer right on top of Lynn James. And he played it beautiful.
All right, this thing is close from as high as we are. It's hard to tell. Now, this is what State felt they had to do. This is not a bad pass. Go long on first down and stretch that defense. Here comes Fryer. Here comes James. Let's see if it's in a. Oh, that's a great play by Fryer, right on the ball and then on James.
Fryer, whose cousin was the All-American wingback Irving Fryer, made a beautiful defensive play. They'll go on the delay to Fisher, and Fisher wrapped up, didn't get back to the line of scrimmage, drilled out of bounds. Blazek came up to make the tackle. Blazek has been slowed by injuries, but an outstanding safety here at Nebraska. There is a flag down on the play. And they're talking to Daniel Ford. Penalty will go against Nebraska.
12 players participated for the red team first.
I've never heard it put that way.
Nice way to put it, isn't it?
And they did quite well, thank you.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
But it is a first down for Arizona State. Moves them out to their own 37-yard line. Ford only 2 out of 6, but he has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns for it. Perkins. Roderick Thomas was waiting for him when he tried to turn the corner. There is another flag down. This one thrown in the middle of the line of scrimmage. And Nebraska indicates that it is against Arizona State. And it is a hold.
Roderick Thomas, the guy you don't want to meet on the line of scrimmage, number 89. I don't believe on first down that Arizona State is going to have much success running against Nebraska because it's too predictable. Thomas, looking for the run, is there and has no trouble with the 215-pounder.
They used to call that position defensive end. Now it's outside linebacker. Why the change?
Well, they call it.
First down.
Nebraska calls it linebacker for a number of reasons. One reason is because the pros call it linebacker, and the other reason is because that everybody wants to be a linebacker. And when you recruit guys, you say, well, come here and be a linebacker. The fact that you're a defensive end doesn't make much difference as long as they call you that. A linebacker there.
Now 1st and 20 for the Sun Devils. Ford, nice roll, has room to run, takes it up to the 30-yard line, forced out of bounds there. Etienne chased him out. Etienne, a very active, quick linebacker and a hitter. Storyline Lincoln. Ford with only 2 completions, but 100 yards in the score. Clark has nearly rushed for 100 yards in the first half. The total yardage, Nebraska with the edge. And by our unofficial count, Nebraska has missed 6 tackles here in the first half.
On that last play, Mike, Steve Martin was wide open down the field. I think we'll see him again, number 1. He's out of the game now, but later on, look for him.
2nd and 18. Ford under pressure, hit. Looks like it's a fumble, and Arizona State will recover at its own 27-yard line. Ford was blasted. Willie Griffin and Broderick Thomas came after him.
Right side of your screen, number 89, Broderick Thomas. Again, State is predictable. He gets rid of the block, and then he gets rid of Ford, but good, and that is definitely a fumble. Good play by Thomas, who is the nephew of Mike Singletary of the Bears. That's
pretty good bloodlines there.
His little nephew.
Yeah.
I wonder if he bounced him on his knee.
Not lately. 6'3", 250. 3rd and 20. Four-man rush. Thomas in his face again. Throws incomplete. Garrett almost made the catch up at the 45, but Thomas leveled Daniel Ford again.
This is really, it was 3rd down, but it's a great indication of why 1st down is so important. This guy in a 3-point stance. Kirby has no chance. Thomas with the inside rush, and Ford doing a good job just to keep his head on his shoulders. There you go again, a hand in the face.
Bell and Brinson are deep to receive, shoot a punt. Got some pressure, but also got another beauty out of there. Brinson from the 25. Look at this! One man to beat. Nobody to beat. Touchdown, Nebraska. Dana Brinson, 75 yards. And boy, once he got the first 5 yards, then there was nobody left.
That was a walk in the park, Mike. There wasn't anybody there.
Quick walk.
Yeah.
Huskers back on top, 22-13. Barrios is on for the point after. He makes it a 10-point lead.
All right, now this kick, this was a whale of a kick, but he truly out-kicked the coverage here. Look at this thing. It opens up just perfectly. There's no one there because they had to run so far and they got out of their lanes. I mean, guys just were all over the place. Look at Metcalf trying to catch him. He'll never catch him. And Brinson, who had a big fumble against UCLA, kind of makes up for it with that long punt return.
11 minutes to go first half. Nebraska has regained the lead. They're now up by 10.
It's easy to see why Mazda truck owners are starting to toot their own horn. They've got enough reasons. Mazda trucks are so reliable. They've been rated #1 in customer satisfaction for 3 straight years. Mazda has the best warranty in the truck business. Nobody else can say that. And when you figure this sporty SE5 is priced close to the other guy's base trucks, what's left to say? I guess that says it. Mazda SE5, a sporty truck the Mazda way.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you in the way you look tonight. Lovely, don't you ever change, 'cause I love you just the way you look tonight.
One taste will tell you why.
Just the way you look tonight.
The night belongs to Michelob.
Tonight's game is being brought to you by Mazda and the exciting new Mazda cars and trucks for 1989. By Michelob. Michelob is a proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. And by Ramada Inns. You're someone special at Ramada. Call 1-800-2-RAMADA for business or vacation reservations worldwide. "11 minutes to go first half, 23-13, and we're just getting warmed up in Lincoln. Cahoon and Winsley deep to receive the kick. Tom Janke, the sophomore. Winsley a yard deep. And stuffed before he reaches the 20-yard line. Hope you'll be with us next Saturday at 11:30. That's when College Game Day comes around. Tim Brando and Bino Cook will be there for the most comprehensive hour in college football. Then at 12:30, Ivy League action. The Lions of Columbia against Penn. And Columbia lost again today. Arizona State just shy of its own 20. Perkins cuts it back. Thomas wrapped him up as he got to the 22, and Thomas got some help from Tim Jackson, the free safety. But Perkins was going to be able to run away from him that time.
Well, there's some speed there with Jackson and Thomas. They can run you down.
And Perkins is the injured player. Thomas sort of held him up so Jackson could have a nice shot at him, and he took full advantage of it.
That was definitely not a missed tackle.
No. Of course, defensive players like that sort of thing. You guys just relished for shots like that.
Well, you know, the thing about defense, Mike, is that once you gain confidence, you begin to do things a little extra. When you don't have confidence, you're just grasping to get a hold of somebody as Perkins leaves the field. But once you do get confidence and you play together and you learn to compensate for each other, it gets pretty rough out there.
Looked like Perkins had the wind knocked out of him. 2nd and 7. Winsley is in there at the tailback. Windorf the fullback. Winsley. Nice hard run. Very close to the first down. They'll mark it near the 30.
Well, I like this guy. I like the way he runs back kickoffs, too. He does a real nice job. 5'5", 193 pounds. And he gets low, and boy, you just hate playing against guys like this. The only shot you get is the head and shoulders, and that stuff's hard. That plastic on the helmet and the shoulders can really hurt you.
Cinder block with legs.
Yeah. If a guy that small is on the field, you better be concerned. He's on there for a reason.
They'll measure for the first down. And just. So Arizona State, which has shown the ability to move the football, as you see the intensity in Daniel Ford's eyes, have it near its own 30.
Well, they want to throw the ball on first down, but they've got an injury problem at tight end, and that's hurting them.
Being dominated in the rushing stats, and Fisher is stacked up by the middle of that defensive line. He never had a chance. Lawrence Pete, the nose man, was the first guy who got him, number 96.
We talked about Pete in the open. He's a guy who quit the team last year. Very intelligent kid. He felt like football wasn't the be-all and end-all, but he reconsidered this fall, and now he's just getting back out there, and he's a guy they really need on that front line for Nebraska. He started some 2 years ago. Didn't have a great year last year, but they hope he can have one this year.
2nd and 8. Winsley. No, play fake. And Ford throws downfield complete to Nebraska 48-yard line as Adams makes another big catch. A great fake by Ford. Nice ball handler. Oklahoma State, as Texas A&M has gotten on the board. Citadel over the Navy, 2nd quarter. UTEP over Tulsa by 17. Texas Tech leading Baylor, that's 1st period. North Texas State over Texas, 1st quarter. Hello. Adams, 2 catches, 66 yards. Winsley on the toss. Cuts it back. Tried to cut it back again. And Willie Griffin, number 84, grabbed him around the knees and threw him down in midfield. Thomas also in on the stop.
All right, one of the things you have to do with an aggressive player is to teach him when not to be aggressive. Here's Thomas following the flow of the plane. He's keeping that contained, though. See him how he keeps leverage? He's able to get in on the tackle. He did not overrun the play, and that's a big part of it. Against UCLA, the Nebraska people felt their defense was too aggressive, and they were overrunning everything and not getting the proper angles and thus missing tackles.
Winsley and Wendorf, the backs now split behind Daniel Ford. Here comes the blitz. Ford got rid of it, threw it away, incomplete. A flag goes down. The official where the ball bounced ruled incomplete. We'll see if the other official has a different idea. Broderick Thomas again applying the pressure.
If that's grounding, I've got a problem with it. Broderick Thomas again in a down lineman position. So quick, coming hard, and he's the guy that forces Ford to throw it.
Crowd is booing because it is defensive holding, the call.
Yeah, I could not see. I thought he might call, there you go, Thomas again with his hand in the face.
On the defense, before the ball was thrown, first and 10.
Moves the ball to the Nebraska 40-yard line.
First down and 10.
We've not had a problem moving the ball tonight.
No, they haven't. They look for him to try to go underneath the coverage against Nebraska if they throw.
Winsley broke it outside. Nice tackle out there by Reggie Cooper, the strong side safety. Let's go to the sidelines and Chris Fowler.
Okay, Mike, injury report for the Sun Devils. Some bad news and good news. The bad news is Chris Garrett, the split end, has a bruised right foot. They're icing it now. Trainers are doubtful that he'll return. The good news is that Bruce Perkins, the tailback, also hurt his right foot that's being taped up, and he will be back, Mike.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Garrett's a big loss.
Sure is, especially since Tony Johnson, the other starting wide receiver, has a bad hamstring. Didn't know if he could play or not. He's in there now. Ford with a fake under a lot of pressure. Complete to out there to Johnson, and Johnson fighting his way toward the yard markers at the 30. Charles Pryor wrapped him up. Nice effort by Johnson, first to make the catch after Ford did a great job just unloading.
What a play by Ford and Johnson. The one thing Arizona State has is athletes. They may not be big athletes, but they're quick. Look at the reaction by Ford. Does he know where his receiver is? They've got him. He's able to throw it against his body perfectly, and then here's Johnson just dragging Fryer and Hicks, and that's just an excellent play athletically by the Sun Devils.
They measure for the first down, and they have it. Ford, 4 out of 10, 130 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. And let's pass on one story about Ford. Last year, he heard that his head coach, John Cooper, said that if he had had Troy Aikman, Arizona State would be as good as UCLA. Now, that wasn't public, but if it was said, in fact, they got back to Ford, he went up to the coach and said, look, if I had Terry Donahue as a coach, I'd be as good as Aikman. So there.
He's got guts.
Wendorf, the fullback, gets 5 straight up the middle down to the 25-yard line. Jobman is in on the stop, number 55. Inside linebacker in there now for ATN.
One thing Arizona
also, excuse me, Kevin.
Excuse me, Mike. One of the things that Arizona State made perfectly clear before this game is they were not intimidated by Nebraska. They felt Nebraska is no tougher than USC or UCLA in the Pac-10, and they've always felt that way. They don't think they don't hold the Big 8 in awe at all.
It's showing so far 6:50 to go first half. They're down by 10, but driving for another score. Winsley, big hole this time, and Winsley inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. Tim Jackson, the free safety, had to make the tackle.
One of the best tackles in the Pac-10, number 66, 6'6", 270-pound Scott Kirby. Doing a great job here, just moving people off the ball, and there goes Winsley behind him. And I'll tell you, Perkins' foot may be all right, Mike, but I wouldn't be taking Winsley out of the game.
No, Winsley 4 carries 20 yards, and he's run hard when he's gotten the ball.
Tough yards.
Ford, another nice play fake. Time to throw. Now he's in trouble. Now he'll run. And he throws, and it's incomplete as he was trying to hit Steve Martin at the sideline. Ford is taking some shots, but he's done a great job in the first half. And except for that one interception, he's thrown the ball exactly where he had to.
And, you know, you have to go back to that interception about him. The kid has maintained his poise. They said he had it. He's 217 pounds, Mike, and he's just shedding tacklers. That's, again, the accuracy. The pass is out of bounds, but just a tremendous job. And coming back after that interception, that would have crushed a lot of people.
Yep. He's been terrific. 2nd and 10 from the Nebraska 17. Wendorf. Big hole. Wendorf to the 5 to the 3-yard line. Reggie Cooper saved the touchdown. 13-yard gain. Wendorf, coming into this game, had 8 carries for 9 yards.
Yeah, well, he did better there. Sperling and Claypool, the guard, do a great job, and Wendorf does the rest. They lost McDaniel, they lost Kalis, but they've got good athletes in that front line.
1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Winsley on the toss. He'll lose 2, and it was a great play by Cooper, who shot in there, hit him back around the 8-yard line, and Broderick Thomas was able to finish him off.
Nebraska likes to stack their people in the middle in their goal line defense, and what State's trying to do is go to the edge, trying to hit them on the edge, but the reason they stack them that way is because they're so quick. The Nebraska people will get to the outside quickly, and they ran out into the boundary. There was nowhere to go.
Loss of 2.5, 2nd and goal.
Now look out for a crossing pattern from a wide receiver here, Mike, something where they can use their speed.
James wide left, Adams to the near side. Winsley thought he was going to break that, and ATN saved the touchdown, got him around the knees, stopped him at the 4. There was a hole there momentarily, Kevin, but he closed it.
Well, Underwood, number 64, trying to block him. There's just too many Nebraska people. Watch ATN come to the corner here. Z stacked, there's nobody there. And Wensley meets up with too many red shirts. Here's where they need their tight end. They do not have a tight end, so you got to look for something crossing because they use that wide receiver speed to just outrun people across the field.
Knudsen and Beach both hurt. McReynolds the only one left. 3rd and goal from the 4. Ford and throws wide, intended for James. He was covered by Lorenzo Hicks. And Thomas is slow getting up for Nebraska. He's getting tired of chasing Ford.
No, I don't think so. These guys never get tired. There really just isn't enough field to do this. Here comes Thomas from the backside. And there's the pass. He's hurried. That's really a tough pass to throw. The coverage is there with Hicks. They ran out of field. You know, that's where you use a tight end. You use them on a little drag pattern. Use a guy out of your backfield, but they need him to block. So their offense, because they don't have a tight end, kind of broke down on the goal line.
Alan Zendejas will come on to try his first field goal of the season. But Arizona State will stop the clock first with 4 minutes and 17 seconds to go first half. It's Nebraska 23, Arizona State 13. Arizona State on 3 tries inside the 5-yard line. Alan Zendejas for the field goal. And it's good. Arizona State cuts the lead to 7 with 4:13 to go in the first half. Ten Arizona State players went to the NFL. Class of '87, Randall McDaniel, just a monster offensive guard. Aaron Cox, the wide receiver, now with the Rams.
He's starting for the Rams.
Yeah.
McDaniel's starting for the Vikings.
Eric Allen, an excellent cornerback for the Eagles.
And they need him.
Sean Patterson goes to Green Bay as a defensive lineman. There are 3 Arizona State defensive linemen along the front for Green Bay. Those are just some of the guys that made the pros out of Arizona State last year.
Well, it's kind of an oddity. The 2 guards were McDaniel and Kalis. They both went to Minnesota. One went in the 1st, and one went in the 4th round.
And they are terrific offensive linemen.
Here's a nice man we met last night. Enjoyed speaking with Larry Marmee.
Really has a different perspective now, doesn't he, as the head coach after being an assistant for so long?
Well, he should. I think what he told us was he can't quite change his perspective. I think what he said was that he was used to he was used to coaching players. He's still coaching players.
Straight up the middle across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Number 36, Barry Kittrell, the fullback on the short kick. There's the scoring drive, and a good one it was. 76 yards, ate up nearly 7 minutes off the clock. 15 plays, and Zendejas finished it off.
I think I was most impressed with them running the ball when they got inside the 30, but they were stopped when they got inside the 10 by Nebraska. But they were able to move them out, though, pretty well in that drive.
Well, they've scored 3 times in the first half, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Important series here with 4:06 to go in the half. Taylor changing the play. And Terry Rogers in the tailback or I-back rather, for the first time. This is Rogers wearing his dad's number. Gets it out to the 47-yard line. Rodney Dillard made the stop. That number had been retired when the great Johnny Rogers won the Heisman Trophy. His son Terry came here. They brought it out of mothballs. And Terry wearing it.
Got to be careful of this guy. He's very, very quick, as his dad was, out of that I-back.
2nd and 5, Big Red. Bell in motion. A little movement along the offensive line. Rogers cuts it back up the middle. Stacked up by Metcalf and Rodney Dillard, the devil back. And if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, what is a devil back?
A devil is a devil of a football player. He's kind of an outside linebacker, defensive end. He's actually supposedly too small to be a defensive end, but he's 6'2", 228. I think a down defensive end. He's a rover type. He can play a safety position. He can do just about everything. I know at Clemson, they asked him to do just about everything. That's the position. You got to be a defensive back, down lineman, and a linebacker.
First down, Nebraska. Clock running, 3:13 to go in the half. Rogers end around fake, and Rogers will keep it. And staying home and playing good defense was Eddie Stokes, the corner. If he had bitten on that end around, the sideline is wide open, and Rogers has got a touchdown.
What they say about him, they say he's small, but he may be the toughest guy on the team. They say he's just tough. His dad was tough.
We're having some technical problems. We understand working very hard on them right now. Have them fixed as soon as possible for you. Rogers, 3 carries for 19 yards. Pretty decent start. Taylor, quarterback draw. And they tripped him up at the line of scrimmage. Shulantsev, number 96, the nose guard, made the stop.
It's a tough play to stop, a real tough play to stop when a quarterback that quick that can run that well comes through the guard hole. Shulantsev did a nice job of reacting to it.
Their regular nose guard would have been Richard Davis, who sat out in 1986 after transferring, but he has broken his elbow twice since he's been here and unable to play. Rogers breaks a couple of tackles. I see what you mean about tough, and gets down to the 33.
Well, you see what Nebraska's doing now. They went almost with a quick huddle there. Arizona State did not get out of their huddle quick enough. Here comes Sledge. Closing it off, and then it's going to be Rogers jumping outside and doing a nice job. But what they did, they went with a quick huddle there. State was not out of their defensive huddle quick enough. They weren't set. Nebraska trying to wear them out now.
Full house backfield. Rogers the deep man. Wing back, Dana Brinson. Hubley got him as he reached the 30-yard line, along with Tingstad. And the officials want to stop the clock now. Nebraska will use a timeout as we've reached 1:58 to go in the half. The Huskers over the Sun Devils by 7. Coming up at halftime from our studios, Tim Brando and Bino Cook. They'll take a look at those Rutgers-Penn State highlights and an interview with Coach Dick Anderson. We're going to have to start calling them, stop calling them upsets anymore. Rutgers has beaten Michigan State and Penn State.
There's a graphic on Nebraska, what they've done on second down. They like to go inside the tackles. They picked up good yardage.
2nd and 7, Rogers. Boy, when the quarterback takes it all the way back to Rogers, he's got so much time to read that hole.
Well, again, it's a straight-ahead play. You know, when your linemen know you're coming straight behind them, look at the blocking here. Little fake a pass, and then you just hook up with these guys. You got a lead block from the fullback, and Rogers is kind of small, and I'll tell you, when you're in a pass rush, it's hard to find a guy like that.
He's only 5'7". They will measure for the first down. The ball spotted at the Arizona State 23 with 1:49 to go, first half. How many close measurements can we have in this ballgame? We've had 3 first downs by an inch.
You know, that measurement helps State, because I really think they're getting tired of trying to handle those big guys. But it's a first down, and this is a big series for Arizona State. They trail by 7. They're in the game. They've got to just hitch it up and play some defense.
Tingstad, the inside linebacker, had gone to the sideline during that measurement to talk with the defensive coaches. Taylor on the option. Short side again. They wrapped him up this time as he got inside the 20. And Metcalf was the first man to him, hanging onto the jersey. Greg Jolson, number 69, gave him some support.
And they picked up 5 yards, Mike. 5 yards. It seems like they're being stopped. Look how quick they're out of the huddle again.
And Arizona State has to hurry to get out on coverage. Taylor wants to throw. Sideline. Did Gregory catch it in bounds? No, he didn't. And that was Gregory's fault. The ball was on the money, and he just wasn't paying attention to where the sideline was.
You're absolutely right. There was no reason. He was wide open. There's no reason he could have stopped. He couldn't have stopped on the sideline. Taylor does his job. This ball is perfectly thrown.
It's a little jump at the end that he didn't need.
Yeah.
Taylor 1 out of 7, 8 yards, but that one was not his fault at all.
It's a big third down here for State's defense.
1:02 to go first half, 3rd and 6. Taylor, quarterback draw. Inside the 10 to the 9-yard line, 1st and goal.
It's a great call. You know, Arizona State's not a big blitzing team, so you got to figure everybody's going to be in coverage. They seal down the middle guard, and look at this with a lead block from the fullback. Taylor's just trying to figure out which way should I go, and they're right back out of the huddle again.
Nebraska running players on and off the field. Clock is running, 47 seconds to go. Taylor fakes to Rogers. All day to throw, end zone. Gregory, touchdown. Morgan Gregory made up for the mistake.
All right, again now, State is not a team that will blitz, so you got max protection here. Plenty of time, and that allows Morgan Gregory to run a long crossing pattern. There he is in the back of the end zone, all the way from one sideline to the next.
Barrios for the point after. It's good, and Nebraska has pushed its lead to 14 points at 30-16.
Let's take a look at Morgan Gregory. He's lined up wide on the right. Now watch what he does. Flat out speed. He's heading across the end zone. There's a lot of players there. You can see the defensive player thinks he needs to stop. Plenty of time. Gregory gets hit right in the chest. Good pass by Taylor. Anytime you have that much time, that close to the goal line, you're going to find a receiver.
Only his 2nd completion of the first half, but it's good for the touchdown. Tonight's student of the game is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Get an edge on life, be all you can be. And it's Nebraska safety Mark Blazek, a social science major with a 3.97 grade average. Last year, he was an academic All-American, the 25th player bestowed with that honor in Tom Osborne's 16 years at Nebraska. He's not only produced some great athletes, but he's produced some great students, and there is Mark Blazek. He had the phantom touchdown against UCLA on that interception. 37 seconds to go in the half. Nebraska by 14. And they'll kick off. Winsley at the goal line. Got a seam. Winsley, 44-yard line. Great return. The tackle made by Brad Ferguson. 43-yard kickoff return by the junior.
Gotta love that guy.
Yeah. 5'5" strong, and he can fly. And now Arizona State at its own 43 with 30 seconds left. Got a chance maybe to get another shot at going on the scoreboard.
Well, they got one timeout left. Yeah, I agree with you. 30 seconds is plenty of time.
Nebraska playing very deep in the secondary right now. Safety now inches up. He's about 25 yards deep before the play starts. Ford near side, and it's complete to the Nebraska 42-yard line to Adams. Covered by Lewis. 17-yard gain. Really need one more of those to give Zendejas a shot of inside 50 yards. And Arizona State will use its last timeout with 22 seconds left in the half. It's Nebraska 30, Arizona State 16.
I'll show you a morning.
To go in the half. Arizona State is out of timeouts. And it was an unusual place to call their last one. Four-man rush. Now here comes the fifth. Ford, deep sideline, incomplete. Intended for Wendorf coming out of the backfield with 16 seconds left.
Well, what they did when they called that timeout is they almost forced themselves to go to sideline patterns. And if you're playing defense for Nebraska, you know that without a timeout, if you go over the middle and you don't get a first down, the half is about over.
Of course, if it is a first down, the clock will stop while they move the chains, but
tough to get your field goal team on
sure
in that span of time.
2nd and 10. Ford with a play action fake again in trouble. Pete has him and makes the sack along with ATN. And that will take care of any ideas of a field goal. And the clock running. And that's it. A loss of 11 on the final play of the first half. Nebraska and Arizona State both with good offensive showings in the first half, and after 2 quarters, it's 30-16. Let's go to Tim Brand.
Help make the tackle. The Pro Scouts licking their chops over number 89, 250-pound monster. He'll go high.
They camp out here every once in a while.
Yeah, they do. But, you know, it's interesting. We had that thing about players. I guess we haven't had it yet. About players drafted into the pros. Nebraska is not really among the top 10.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, it's a tribute to the program, actually. They do a lot with players that maybe wouldn't be great in other programs.
Arizona State will receive the second half kickoff. Winsley at the goal line. Almost broke one earlier, but he won't break this. Forced out of bounds before he got back to his own 20-yard line. And it was Mike Kroll, one of the reserve outside linebackers, who knocked him down. Halftime stats and the total yards pretty even. They have just gone about getting them in a far different way, Kevin.
Yeah, and the 5 for 14 for Ford, he's played a lot better than that. He's thrown the ball very well. Time of possession. Also, Arizona State, that's what they would have wanted to accomplish. They have controlled the time of possession, kept it even, but they're still behind by 2 scores.
Nebraska controlling the scoreboard. Cahoon is back in there behind Wendorf as the running backs. Cahoon on the toss, ran into his blocker, and then got back to the line of scrimmage. Take a look at what Arizona State did when they had the ball in the first half. And the first time was their biggest mistake on offense of the game, was the interception. The third time they had the ball, a TD. The fourth time, also a touchdown. They had to punt the next time, got a field goal, and the half ran out before they could do anything with it on the last drive.
Well, one of those punts was returned for a touchdown.
Sure was.
That's really the difference in this game.
Yeah, that was the backbreaker. Ford to the shotgun. 5 out of 14 for He'll run with the ball, breaks one tackle, and forward in a foot race. Lost the ball. Nebraska has it at the 42. Lorenzo Hicks caught him from behind, and Reggie Cooper came up with a football.
Well, it's a terrific call, a great effort by Ford. 217-pounder, people bouncing off him, and now watch how he drops the ball. Hicks popped it loose, very smart. Got one hand on him, popped it out with the left hand.
And it's Cooper on the football.
Cooper right there, yeah.
So Nebraska, with its second turnover of the ball game, starts from its own 42. Taylor on the option. He'll keep it. Somehow picked up 6 yards on that play to his own 49-yard line.
Hey, Mom! How you doing, baby? Hey, Mom, how you doing?
Reggie, that's why you chase the play. You know, when the first thing you learn about football is don't stop till the whistle blows. Even if you don't think you can get the guy, you chase the play, and that's why somebody popped the ball loose and you come up behind and fall on it.
You saw the turnover story. Nebraska has not coughed up the football today. Clark behind Tyrese Knox. It's a first down as he reaches the Arizona State 46-yard line. Once again, Drew Metcalf has got a fine ball game in on the tackle, along with Shane Collins.
You got one of the fine centers in the Big 8, number 68, Young, on Chulancich. Chulancich just ducking his head, taking himself out of the play. You need to get your hands on the offensive guy, keep your legs up underneath you, and create some leverage so you can react to the ball carry. Chulancich's got to learn that.
Nebraska showing the full house backfield. Bell is number 21 in there. Almost dropped by Tyrese Knox, who is in there as a fullback. Moved to fullback after he was playing at the tailback spot. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Mike, I just spoke with Larry Marmee as the Sun Devils came out for the second half. He said the mood is upbeat. He's very encouraged that Arizona State's been able to run on Nebraska. His biggest concern, special teams play, especially the punt coverage team that gave up the touchdown to Brinson. He said Devils have to cut down on mistakes like the Ford fumble just now, Mike.
Exactly, Chris.
I think Shue's kick is what caused that. That was a tremendous punt.
One of those cases where you outkick the coverage. Knox, the first man in the eye. To the 30, to the 27-yard line. LeDuc brought him down around the ankles. But Tyrese Knox, who had gained only 58 yards coming into the ball game this year, matched his long gain of 17 yards.
This guy started out as the #1 tailback. In fall practice, he's now the #1 fullback. He got to the play. He got to the corner so quickly that they just didn't have a chance to react. Tough when you've got two tailbacks, and Knox is 215 pounds, a tailback-fullback combination.
Nebraska on the move as they have been the entire game. Only twice have they been stopped, kept off the scoreboard when they've had the ball tonight. Clark and Shane Collins wraps him up the 25-yard line. Collins is a good-looking player. 6'4", 255, a little small for a defensive lineman, but very quick and a great athlete.
From Bozeman, Montana. They say he came to Arizona State so he could do both track and football. In fact, in the spring, he participates in the track program and also practices with the football team a couple of days a week. So, in fact, he missed most of the spring in terms of football practice. Didn't seem to hurt him.
It's a shot putter. 2nd and 7, Nebraska. Taylor throwing for the end zone. Intercepted by LeDuc. Milliken was open, but LeDuc timed it perfectly, and Taylor just couldn't get it there in time.
Taylor waited too long. This play was open right away. Milliken way back behind the coverage right now. Taylor doesn't see him. You can actually see as he turns his head, he sees him, and by the time he lofts the thing for him, it's short. And here comes LeDuc. That's a pretty good reaction by LeDuc. Had Taylor thrown it or been able to throw it earlier and a little harder, he had it.
Taylor is only 2 out of 9 on the night. For 17 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's the first turnover for Nebraska. Ford back to throw. Plenty of time, dumps it off to Wendorf. And Wendorf flattened as he got to the 21-yard line. Big tackle by Broderick Thomas.
That's a great read by Broderick Thomas. Thomas sitting there reading the lineman. He read the screen, just drifted out there. He had it all away. Smart. Not only good, but smart. Dangerous.
Ford getting the play from the sideline. He has not had great numbers, 6 out of 15, but he's thrown for 145 yards on those 6 completions and has a touchdown to go with his first interception, or his only interception. It came on the first possession of the ballgame. 2nd and 8. Cahoon behind Wendorf. Cahoon on the carry. Flag is down as he reaches the 27-yard line. Want to take this opportunity to say hello to a gentleman I know is watching the ball game tonight who had an emergency appendectomy Thursday night. His name is Dick Bishop. Penalty will go against Arizona State. I know he is doing well because he's my father-in-law, and he is recovering nicely. He's a big Redskin fan, but that's going a little far, imitating Doug Williams.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's one thing to be a fan. Was he wearing a hog nose when he had the operation?
No.
Illegal motion on the offense. 2nd down.
But he's doing real well, up and around already. That will cost Arizona State on the motion penalty back to their own 16.
It's a tough spot for him. This is the place for the screen, but they just sniffed that one out. Look out for a draw here.
And there it is. And Nebraska was looking out for it, too. Cahoon stuffed by Lawrence Peak, the middle guard.
Well, I guess if I could call it from up here, you're probably looking for it down there. I mean, 2nd and long, a team that would like to pass. They're trying to keep it simple, not a dangerous play. So what you're doing is you're watching the quarterback all the way, trying to hold your ground. And as you see, all the red shirts there, they did exactly that.
3rd and 13. Ford goes to the shotgun. Another flag is down.
That's a procedure penalty, I believe, on Arizona State, Mike.
And things a little sloppy here early in the 3rd quarter.
Well, actually, they began the game the same way they began the 3rd quarter.
And it is procedure. That will cost them 5 more, make it 3rd and 18.
Again, let's go back to this tight end thing. Gary Knutson is gone. Broke his ankle. He was their starting tight end. Scott Veach was their backup. He's gone. And they're down to Ryan McReynolds. They have not thrown to him all night, and that really hurts their offense. They can't sweep, and they can't throw to the tight end.
They think that McReynolds is going to be an outstanding football player, but he has virtually no experience. Nebraska showing blitz, and here they come. Ford unloads, incomplete. It was intended for Tony Johnson, and he was sandwiched at the 25-yard line and paid the price, even on the incompletion. Tahan Lewis, one of the guys who really laid a shoulder to him.
All right, yeah, well, Nebraska's, they're pretty intelligent defensively, and they know exactly what's going to happen. You got a blitz here. They want Ford to throw it quickly, but remember, you don't have a hot receiver because you have a young tight end. You've got max protection. You got to go to the wideout, and you saw the result. Mike Shue averaging over 48 yards a punt, but remember the last one went all the way back for a touchdown. Kicks to Bell, who's sandwiched to the sideline, driven out of bounds to 45. We have 9:33 to go, 3rd quarter. It's Nebraska 30, Arizona State 16.
Look up, America!
From sea to shining sea to your 1,500 Jeep Eagle dealers, starting our 2nd successful year, celebrating with a limited time offer on Eagle Premier. $750 cash back from Chrysler. Eagle Premier, so well engineered, it's been named best domestic 4-door sedan in America.
Look up, America!
To Eagle Premier and Jeep Cherokee, exclusively at your United States Jeep Eagle dealers.
Expect the best!
Presenting the Seagram's Touchdown Minute. Len Dawson of the Kansas City Chiefs. Besides leading his team to victory in Super Bowl IV, Dawson was one of the most accurate passers of all time. How many times did Len Dawson lead the league in completion percentage?
Well, I led the league 8 times, 6 years consecutively. And I would like to say that it was because of my strong arm, my ability to move around and throw and locate receivers and do a tremendous job. But when you get down to the bottom line, the reason I was able to accomplish that is because I had some big people up in front of me that protected me like I was a delicate china doll. They made sure nobody got to Len Dawson. And that's the reason why I had that type of success.
The Seagram's Touchdown Minute.
Tonight's game is being brought to you by Jeep. There's a feeling you can get only in a Jeep. By Rudd. Rudd is warming up homes all across America. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. Nebraska leads Arizona State 30-16. Mike Patrick, Kevin Kiley, and Chris Fowler with you from Lincoln, Nebraska. Glad you could join us on ESPN. The Huskers with the ball at the Arizona State 43-yard line, up by 14. Taylor on the option. Nice keep, but Arizona State did a good job, and it's a loose ball. Nebraska got it back. Tyrese Knox downfield with good hustle, and that could turn out to be a huge play.
Well, this is a matter, I think, of being in the right place at the right time. I don't know that Knox even knows this ball is fumbled. Taylor's showing you what a great athlete he is as he comes to the corner. Almost down, makes the pitch, and the ball is just dropped. And now it's anybody's ball, and Knox just happened to be running along there and fell on it.
2nd and 3. It qualifies as a gain of 7 yards. Clark on the pitch back. Stopped short of the 35-yard line. Dillard, number 21, the Devilback, made the tackle. It'll be a little more than a yard shy of a first down. I think the amazing thing about Nebraska's offense, certainly one of them, is at times it looks like Arizona State is playing excellent defense, and Nebraska's got 30 points.
Well, it's a big play offense. As I said earlier in the game, they'll stretch you laterally, they'll stop you a lot, but they'll also create a seam, and when they do, they have the athletes to go south with the ball.
Clark now with 100 yards on the night, the first Husker player to gain 100 yards this season, and he's got it again on 3rd and short. He's got a first down. Pinned by Nathan Leduc after he was tripped up by Dillard.
Interesting thing in talking to the Nebraska offensive coaches about how a tailback, you think about a tailback, you hand him the ball and he runs with the ball, but that's not the way it goes. The fullback and the tailback have to read blocks, read which way the offensive linemen are taking people, and cut back and cut to the right hole. That part of that is what determines whether they play or not.
1st and 10. Knox is in there as the up man for Clark. Clark again behind Knox. Collins wraps his big arms around him inside the 30 to 29-yard line.
I've noticed when Taylor audibles, most of the time he's going to the tailback. He's coming back to a tailback handoff. It seems to me, see if we can keep an eye on him every time he turns around, or he seems to be audibling if he doesn't go to the tailback.
Nebraska here with a late substitution. They get Doug Glazer onto the field. Excuse me, that was Tom Hunt, number 78, who was coming on late. Brinson, wing back reverse. And what a play, stacked him up in the backfield. Saute Sapolu, a loss of 12, and he's been waiting for that play all night long. So have we.
I think Arizona State's been waiting for that play from Saute for 3 games. What he does is he gets plenty deep enough. He gets as deep as the deepest man, and he shows the quickness. Brinson is a flash, and he pulls Brinson down. A big, big play now. That's 2 defensive plays this quarter by Arizona State. Sapolo 6'3", 245. They're expecting big things, and they're waiting for big things back in Tempe from him.
The only veteran on that defensive line now. 3rd and 16. Taylor, plenty of time now. He's flushed. Inside the 30, they'll mark it around the 27-yard line, which will be well shy of a first down. Hubley made the tackle along with Shulansa. Crowd yelling go. Let's see what Tom Osborne decides to do as Taylor comes up a little slow and limping. And they have not sent the field goal unit on. They will go for it on 4th and 3.
Look out for the cadence here, Mike. We'll try and throw him off.
2 tight ends. Taylor on the roll. He's got room to run. And he stopped short. Great job by Boyd and Tingstad. They made the stop, and he fell well shy of the first down.
Well, this is a great play defensively because you're right, Mike. It looked like he had it all the way when he turns upfield. Here comes Tingstad, and then there's the hit that stops him. Tingstad slows his momentum, and then he goes down in a flash. Very close, though.
And where they have marked it, they are going to have to measure for the first down. I didn't think he was that close. And Arizona State holds on downs.
Some big defensive plays now from a team that was pushed around pretty good in the first half. You got that interception, and now you've got that play on 4th down.
Great stand by Arizona State. Ford, 6 out of 16, 145 yards passing, and he's going to have to start putting it up again probably. They'll give it to Fisher, the redshirt freshman fullback. Let's go to the sideline and Chris Fowler. Chris?
Okay, Mike, just to update some injuries for you. Chris Garrett, the Arizona State split end we told you about in the first half. He has a broken bone in his foot. Obviously, he won't be back, and he could miss a couple of games. Also, wide receiver Tony Johnson has bruised his ribs right in front of me. Trainers working like mad to tape him up, and he'll wheel it back. Mike?
And Chris, there is Johnson being worked on. He came in with a hamstring. That means they're down to Lynn James and Leland Adams. Adams has had a huge ball game. Ford on the roll, throws for James, and complete. Blazek takes him down at the 35. Really impressed with Daniel Ford, the Arizona State quarterback. He's been under tremendous pressure, and he's thrown the ball in the money almost every time.
And you look at his eyes right there. That was a good, no fear in this guy's eyes at all. This thing very slow developing, and the coverage is there, but the accuracy, just a remarkable throw. Look at his throw. Just on the perfect side of the receiver, and he's almost out of receivers, and he's finding guys.
Arizona State. They are giving what is called a sideline warning to Arizona State. There is an area over there marked on the sideline. You're not supposed to get beyond that, and the officials turn around and say, get back in that area. Don't see that one too often. Ford with good protection this time, throws, contact, and a flag. Well, I thought Fryer got there early. The flag came late, intended for Lynn James, who had good position, and Fryer really upset about it.
That's a great athletic move by Fryer, but there's a way to do this, and this is not the way. You want to take that outside hand and use it. Watch Fryer come over his back instead of using his hand. See? He went right over his head, over James' head. What he needed to do was try to get that hand out in front without doing that. Good play, though. That's tremendous athletic ability by Fryer to just be able to get up and over.
Oklahoma State's Hartley Dykes says he is the best defensive back in the Big 8.
There's a lot of people who would, and Hartley's not bad either.
No. So the 10-yard penalty, the 4th called against Nebraska, will move the ball to the Big Red 48-yard line. Another first down for Arizona State. 4:32 to go, third quarter. Winsley on the toss. Here comes the fake reverse. Winsley will keep it. Slammed down after a gain of about 2 yards. Paul Brungart chased him down. Do you believe this? Oklahoma State is murdering Texas A&M. North Carolina State coming back on Maryland. That's fourth quarter. UTEP over Tulsa. Memphis State, Tulane tied in the second. And Texas Tech routing Baylor, also a second quarter score. 2nd and 8, Sun Devils. under pressure, throws far sideline, complete to Adams at the 27-yard line. Adams has an excellent set of hands. That one was for 21, and Adams for the season averaging nearly 30 yards a catch.
Yeah, but you have to remember, I mean, these guys got 2 wide receivers, no tight end, and they're keeping their backs in to protect, and Ford is still completing these passes. And
It's amazing.
And guys making good catches like this. This is a gutty effort by Arizona State.
It sure is. First and 10 at the Nebraska 26. Ford may be changing the play. Winsley, whoops, changed to the wrong play. Cooper was standing 5 yards deep in the backfield, and Winsley had nowhere else to go. It's a loss of 9.
Been talking about the tight end all day. One of the problems, you cannot run the sweep. Number 88, he's going to be good, but he's 6'7", 239, and he does not make the block on the corner. They get no help. They're trying to run a sweep here. Here's Broderick Thomas cleaning up. This is a team that is really impaired offensively for a number of reasons, and yet they're making it close anyway.
Daniel Ford doing a lot of it on guts as Reggie Cooper trying to get the crowd into it on 2nd and 17. And the crowd won't let Ford hear the signals now. He might be smart to ask to be able to back away from it. Goes ahead. Here comes the blitz. Flag is down. The official stopped the play. The play will not count. The play clock may have run out on it. It may be a delay of game, and Ford is slow getting up.
Boy, that's a tough call. That is delay a game. That's a tough call on the offense when the crowd, the crowd is in this game, and you can see Larry Marmee. That's just not right.
And Larry Marmee is really letting one of the officials have it on the sideline. He is just beside himself down there.
There is a new rule, and the quarterback can ask for help.
And now Larry Marmee signaling to his offensive club. He's saying the clock has run down to 0 again. And he's asking the official why wasn't it reset. Now it finally is. Here comes the blitz against Ford. Deep over the middle, no one there except the Cornhuskers, and it's picked off Tim Jackson. Jackson to the 32. A 55-yard return.
Well, it's a deep zone. Jackson's the free safety. He thinks Leland Adams is going to cut inside. Adams goes outside. Ford throws it to Tim Jackson. And then one of the better athletes in the Big 8. Little cutback there. Good job, actually, by Arizona State people. That's McReynolds, the tight end, that makes the tackle.
That's his 2nd interception tonight. And meanwhile, ever since that play, Larry Marmee has been letting one of the officials really have it on the sideline. He is still incensed over what had happened a couple of plays before that.
Well, the reason he is because that put his team in a position where they had no other choice but to throw downfield, and that was the result of the interception.
Big break for Nebraska. 3rd turnover by Arizona State. 2:38 to go, 3rd quarter. Huskers at the Sun Devil 32. Clark inside the 30 to about the 27-yard line. Brian Hooks, number 95, was in on the stop.
Number 70, Doug Glazer, 6'7", 295. Takes the freshman Collins for a ride. Collins, again, too high, and you don't get high against 295-pound Nebraska linemen.
Clark, 20 carries, 110 yards, the first Nebraska back over 100 yards this season. 2nd and 4. Clark again. Got a couple of great blocks down the sideline, first down. Joseph drove him out of bounds. Joseph coming off a severe knee injury. They don't know if he'll play like he did before he was hurt. He says if he doesn't play pro football, thinks he's got a shot at baseball. And that was Tingstad over there.
defense is tough. When your offense is hampered the way Arizona State's offense is hampered, and they don't get in after being close, it can be tough mentally defensively.
Sure could. First down at the 17. Tyrese Knox picks up 7. Joseph made the tackle again as Knox got down to the 10-yard line.
Okay, no secret here. Nebraska just pounding them now. Again, we're going to go to Glazer, number 70. And again, it's Collins getting a ride. He's got to learn to get off that block. That can be very demoralizing. How do you do that? Well, you've got to deliver a blow. That's tough to do against a 295-pounder and get rid of him without having him push you off the ball, and you need to be low to do it.
2nd and 3. Cornhuskers. Taylor looking to throw the option, belted as he got to the 5. Big hit by Scott Walker after Joseph had slowed him down.
Well, it's man-to-man blocking now. They're just man blocking on the Nebraska offensive line. What we suggested earlier about how they could just match up man-to-man and they would be able to overpower Arizona State, that's what they're doing right now. And when you push a guy like Collins, Mike, off the ball, that takes care of your linebackers too, because you have no place to run.
First and goal from the 5. Clark, the deep man, Knox, the fullback. Knox didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Again, Saute Sapolu with that quickness right in the backfield.
Well, they turned him loose is what they did. And now look out for Nebraska seeing that. They may decide they want to go wide.
Second and goal from the 5. 29 seconds to go, third period. Nebraska up by 14, bidding for more. Taylor on the option, lost the yard. LeDuc was waiting for him, and Taylor slipped as he tried to make the cut. So flashes of outstanding defense shown by Arizona State tonight.
Well, they're selling out a little bit, Mike. They have Sapullo coming hard on the last play. Now see what they do. They want to go in, so they have him crashing inside to protect the inside. And LeDuc, no thought of pass coverage here. They're coming to get him.
And that's the end of the third period of play from Lincoln, Nebraska. Tom Osborne going for his 150th win. He's up by 14.
You know, hardly any of this stuff can really help me with my schoolwork.
There is something you could have which would help you a lot. Do you know what that is?
No, but I'm afraid you're going to tell me.
Yes. It's the new Encyclopedia Britannica.
Encyclopedia Britannica. Now you tell me. I've got a report due tomorrow.
On what?
On the exploration of space.
Take a look at this. From the first beeps of Sputnik to the triumph of the Apollo moon landing.
All right. Well, since this has turned out to be a Britannica commercial, I guess you're going to tell me how somebody could get a set.
Actually, I thought I might, yeah.
And I suppose you're going to throw one of those 800 numbers up on the screen. Am I right?
Might as well.
And there it is.
To find out how you can own the Encyclopedia Britannica, just call this toll-free number and we'll send you this free booklet telling you everything you need to know about your key to the information age. And just for previewing Britannica in your home, your family will receive this 3-volume desk reference set. So if you would be interested in owning the new Britannica...
I'm thinking it over.
Just call this number now. Encyclopedia Britannica.
From back east to out west to your 1,500 Jeep Eagle dealers, heading into our second successful year and celebrating with $750 cash back on Eagle Premier, named Best Domestic Four-Door Sedan in America, and big savings on Jeep Cherokee, 4x4 of the year for the second time.
Look up, America!
To Eagle Premier and Jeep Cherokee, exclusively at your United States Jeep Eagle dealers.
Expect the best.
15 minutes of football left from sold-out Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. It's 30-16. Nebraska on top. Third and goal from the 6. Quarterback draw to the outside, Taylor. And they stopped him at the 1-yard line. Arizona State closed in a hurry to prevent the touchdown. Now it's 4th and goal. Tingstad and Joseph got him.
Now this play was predictable, but I'll tell you what, Steve Taylor, for no other reason, he takes a pounding for this team. Watch the way he gets hit on this thing. He wants to go up the middle. Tingsted's standing there looking at him. Now watch him get it right in the chops here. Oh. Oh. And Nebraska will go for it. 4th and goal. Option left. Clark. He did not get in. Arizona State holds. Sapolu made the tackle. If they'd have run an option left, they'd have had it. This is great defense again. Again, the quickness from Arizona State getting off the ball. Here's 59, Tingsted and Sapolu out there. It's really, Sapolu does a great job of just holding them out of the end zone. A good call by Nebraska trying to get in, though, I think, because the field position is murdered.
Sure. But that is the second time in this half that Arizona State has held deep in its own territory, and they're still down by 14 points.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him just throw the thing up there.
I wouldn't either. Perkins and Fisher, the backs. Perkins on the toss. That's a safety. John Marco, number 93, and Leroy Etienne, 47, combined on the tackle. And when you've got something that takes that much time in your own end zone, you're taking a chance.
Well, you hit it on the head, Mike. A very easy play to read out of the eye of the toss sweep. Watch how long the fullback's coming. You know the tailback's coming. And so is the whole defense coming. All the red shirts. Fullback never got any penetration or a block, and the tailback was dead meat.
That is a crusher for Arizona State after that great defensive stand. We've got a timeout in the 16-point game.
Imagine you were a car. What would you be? You'd be a sports car. You'd be quick, agile. You'd be turbocharged. And of course, you'd be a Porsche.
See your local authorized Porsche dealer.
$1 million computers like these weren't built to withstand hard knocks. So when they wanted to move them cross-country, they called United Van Lines. This rare 19th century painting is too fragile for ordinary transportation, so they called United Van Lines. And when Kevin Anderson's family needed someone to move the things they treasured most, they called United Van Lines. Whether it's a computer, a priceless work of art, or an equally priceless outfielder's glove, the quality shows in every move we make.
McDonald's invites you to be part of the U.S. Olympic team.
He needs a perfect 10.
When you play McDonald's when the U.S. wins, you win Olympic game.
He approaches the handstand.
When the U.S. wins a medal in the event on your game piece, you win too. Win a Big Mac, regular fries, or medium soft drink. Or you could instantly win Reebok sports gear or an RCA big screen television.
He did it!
And you can too, because when the U.S. wins, you win.
The good time, great taste of McDonald's.
Tonight's game is being brought to you by your local authorized Porsche dealer, by United Van Lines, where the quality shows in every move we make, and by the good time, great taste of McDonald's. (32-16), Nebraska over Arizona State, and Nebraska jumped on top early. The Sun Devils came back to take the lead, but after that, after having that lead, they've scored only 3 points. Free kick. Bell chasing it. That's a loose ball. And it looked like Bell recovered for Nebraska. That is the second loose ball that Arizona State had a great shot at and didn't come up with.
You know, that's amazing. Their shoe has been kicking the ball under pressure great all night. He kicks a dying duck. I know it wasn't intentional. This is like an onside kick. And there, you're right. The Arizona State player had a shot at it.
Eddie Stokes, number 25. Nebraska ball after the safety that has made it a 16-point game and put Arizona State in a lot of trouble. Rogers is back in at tailback. Carpenter the fullback. Taylor on the option. Rogers couldn't quite stay in bounds. He still got 8 yards. Option play is just so dangerous. Storyline, Lincoln Clark, the first Nebraska back this year, over 100 yards. Taylor has 85 himself. Arizona State with 3 turnovers. Ford has had an excellent night, 176 yards. He has been harassed every time he's gone back. 2nd and 2, full house backfield. Taylor on the keeper, first down. Metcalf wrapped him up. Kevin, how would you evaluate both of these clubs after seeing them tonight?
Well, I think Nebraska's offense is about what we expected to see, although I think a lot of people expected them to be able to push Arizona State around a little bit more on the ground. Steve Taylor has definitely lived up to the expectations. Played a remarkable game. Clark has had some good holds. He's run through them. He doesn't appear to me to be a great back. If Nebraska has a problem, it's defensively. Arizona State, with people hurt all night, has been able to move the ball. And I think Arizona State, with another man down, has a tremendous young team. I think their youth has played very well. We've looked at Collins. He's had some good plays, some bad plays, but this team is really a freshman, sophomore team. In a couple of years with good recruiting, they could be excellent.
Larry Marmee was not kidding when he said, we don't have a lot of experience, but we have some excellent young players. We'll pick up the number of the injured man as soon as we can. And it's Shane Collins, and it looks like he's going to be able to get up under his own power. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern. It's the NASCAR Winston Cup Goodies 500. Darrell Waltrip, the defending champion. He'll be challenged by Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt. 12:30 Eastern is the start for that race. Collins comes off the field. He's made 10 tackles tonight. Taylor gives it off to Rogers. Rogers ran right into Drew Metcalf, who's another player who's had an excellent game. Been very active.
Here's another thing that Nebraska does to you. They'll pound you the entire game, and then they'll spot play a guy like Rogers, who's so quick, and you just naturally slow down. Both teams do over the course of a game, and then when you hold a guy out like Rogers and put him in, boy, it can be awful tough to gear up to go that fast to catch him.
2nd and 7. Clock running with 13:08 left in the game. Rogers on the toss. Just give him a little seam, and he's gone. LeDuc banged him out of bounds. But it will be another first down for Nebraska at the 42.
That's a perfect example of what I was talking about. Now, another back may have slowed down a little bit, couldn't get through this hole, and you may be gauging yourself to get there at a certain point at a certain time because the game has slowed to that point, but Rogers has not slowed to that point. Bang, he's through that hole and down the field.
One of the most famous names in Nebraska football history. He is the son of Johnny Rogers, who won the Heisman in '72. Fullback this time, Carpenter, dragged down as he reached the 35-yard line. Nebraska doing an excellent job right now of working on the clock, as well as possibly going for some points that could wrap it up. North Texas State over Texas. TCU leading Boston College in the second quarter. Northern Illinois and Minnesota, that's a halftime score. Hawaii had a great year so far. They're tied with Utah.
If North Texas State beats Texas, that will be a crushing blow to the Texas program. It's a very proud program down there. They will not stand for that.
Bell goes in motion just before the snap. Taylor on the option. LeDuc again, the man to force him out of bounds along with Hubley.
Another thing about late in the game, it's a lot more difficult to run laterally than it is to run straight ahead. And what Nebraska is doing now, and you can bet it's planned, is they're running the ball laterally because they know that puts a lot of pressure on your groin and those muscles going sideways, and they'll tell you, you get really tired running laterally. Nebraska taking advantage of Arizona State that way.
Steve Taylor has gained 111 yards rushing. He's had a miserable night passing. 2 out of 9 for 17 yards. But fortunately for Nebraska, he hasn't needed that phase of the game. Carpenter, the fullback, stopped as he reached the 20-yard line. Scott Woodford, number 49, was on the stop, and on the bottom of the pile there, Metcalf again.
Tavia, as you look at this defense, Sapolo's a senior, Jolson's a senior, Chalancet is a junior. Collins is a freshman. Dillard's a senior, but his backup, who plays quite a bit, Terrence Johnson, is a sophomore. The linebackers are sophomores and juniors. And you've got one senior in the secondary for Arizona State.
2nd and 8. Rogers on the delay. Broke one tackle to the 10, to the 5, to the 3. Rogers tackled by Hubley, but it will be 1st and goal, Nebraska.
I want you to watch and see where the defensive player makes contact. All of the defensive players make contact with Rogers, and see if anybody does not get in front of him, or if anybody does get in front of him. Watch where they're making contact. There's an arm, there's another arm. Nobody is able to get in front of this guy. He's too quick. He ran right through the defense. No one was able to square up on him, and that's a result of being tired and this guy's quickness.
Nebraska spending the second half in Arizona State territory. Rogers, touchdown. And a valiant effort by Arizona State, but they've just been worn down by Nebraska.
Well, all you can say here is we have liftoff, and we have a touchdown.
38-16 Nebraska. There is a timeout on the field. Tom Osborne calling his offensive team over.
Well, here you go from the side. Again, Rogers going in. Nebraska 38-16 over Arizona State.
What is the price of a car with more Le Mans victories than any other car in history? A car which for 40 years has pioneered engineering breakthroughs. A car whose very name has become synonymous with performance. What is the price? Well, if you have to ask the price, you may now be able to afford one.
See your local authorized Porsche dealer.
For years, duffers everywhere have taken comfort in the fact that there's one thing more inevitable than the double bogey. Nightfall. Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob?
Now the final chapter, students, in Bosworth's book of etiquette, personal hygiene. I suggest the maximum protection of new Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Antiperspirant and deodorant. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Owning a home or a brand new car can be a dream come true. And USF&G can help to protect and cover you. From the mountains edge to the ocean's edge, we insure you every day. We protect what America's made of. We cover the USA.
38-16, Nebraska over Arizona State, 11-11 to go in the ball game, and Nebraska comes out to go for 2. We'll talk about this in a second. Rogers on the toss, and he's got it. And it's 40-16.
Well, I tell you, this kid's 5'7", 170 pounds. He looks like Ironhead Hayward here. Watch him put his head down and go right through the linebacker Tinkstead in for an extra point. It's pretty tough running from a tough kid.
Rogers with the 2-pointer. When you talk about Nebraska greats, there was none greater than number 20, the first one, Johnny Rogers. They called it the game of the century. It was number 1 Nebraska against number 2 Oklahoma in 1971. And Johnny Rogers stunned a sellout crowd in Norman with this punt return. Nebraska would go on to win the game 35-31. and the national title. A year later, Rogers would win the Heisman Trophy. They retired his number here in Lincoln, but they brought it back so that his son, Terry, could continue the legacy. And now, Kevin, since you are the analyst, let me ask you, why would you go for 2 after leading 38-16?
Well, practice, and maybe because it's three 8-point scores. Maybe that's the reason. 24 points. That would.
Good point.
That's the only thing I can think of.
That means they'd have to score 4 times. The likelihood of that probably not very good right now. Cahoon on the short kick from the 19. And he got back to the 29-yard line. Let's check in right now with Tim Brando. Tim?
All right, Mike, some very disturbing news for Alabama tonight. This just in, the game's long since been over. Bobby Humphrey suffered a broken bone in his left foot. He had 101 yards rushing tonight. He's out for the season. Gene Jelks, also with a knee injury, out for the season for Coach Bill Curry. Also in baseball, Toronto's Dave Stieb has a no-hitter into the 9th inning right now as the Blue Jays are leading Cleveland 4-0. Back to Mike.
Oh, that's a bad break for Alabama. 2 of them, in fact. A couple of great players. Paul Justin, number 10, is the new Arizona State quarterback. Justin gives it to Perkins. Perkins runs a little circle route. He's stacked up by Mike Cole, number 88. Flags are down on the play, too. And the penalty will go against Arizona State. Of course, that Alabama report that Tim just gave us. Here you got Gene Jelks, a guy who could come in and play tailback, who was an excellent runner, and then he gets hurt, too.
I think you have to feel for both of them. That's an illegal shift on Arizona State. You have to feel for Humphreys, a Heisman candidate, but Jelks waiting to play tailback gets hurt in the same game. That's really a pressure.
Justin, here comes the blitz. And there goes Justin back at the 22-yard line. Bruce Pickens, number 38, was in the crowd that brought him down. Pickens, a transfer from Coffeyville Junior College.
Been talking about the tight end and the lack of a tight end. Now, again, I don't want to pick on McReynolds. He's a young kid. But I want to show you what they're trying to do here. They want to go long to the tight end. This is a safety, Blazek, not really used to playing man coverage. Look, he's got McReynolds just covered completely. No place to go, so they get the sack. They had an excellent tight end that could get open. He's been hurt. 2 of them were hurt.
3rd and 17. Justin drops the snap from center, got it back. Hicks tried to beat him to the ball and couldn't do it. Arizona State will have to kick it away. Justin, only a sophomore. 6'5", 193. I think he's got a big future here. And Shue, who is just a tremendous punter, has Bell and Brinson deep. Shue has averaged 45 yards on 3 kicks tonight. Not a good one that time, but he gets the bounce. Brinson back at his own 27. Kelvin Fisher brought him down. A flag comes in late.
Boy, that is a late flag, Mike. Late.
I mean, the call's got to be a face mask, and on
if that was a
didn't
face,
look like it.
If that was a face mask, I really believe his head would have come off.
Yeah.
It looked like he might have caught him under the shoulder pad.
We have a 5-yard face mask.
See if we can see it.
All right. Number one, you'd have to be awful strong to do this. Let's see where his hand. Well, looks to me, I can't tell, but looks to me like got him under the shoulder pad.
Yeah. And the official who called it was probably the farthest one away from the play.
Yeah, it's close up to the neck, but I don't believe he did have him. If his head never did come back.
You could see right there, he had him by the shoulder pad. Taylor on the option, gets across the 40. Not that that call will have any influence on the game, but let's get down the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Okay, Mike, I'm standing here with Will Thomas, the little brother of Nebraska's All-American linebacker Broderick Thomas, a redshirt. Now, you're not as big as your brother, but you get your chance next year. Are you as good a player as he is?
Well, we have the same bloodline mixture from my mom and dad, so the potential is there. Future All-American, that's all I have to say.
But Thomas, family confidence and exuberance. He almost knocked me over when Nebraska scored their last touchdown, Mike.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. He lays it on the line, doesn't he? Taylor gives it off to Rogers, spins out of a tackle. Boy, and they really turned on the speed in Arizona State territory at the 47. Sepolu made the tackle after a gain of 11.
Kid, you just can't teach this. You have to teach him to get to the hole, but what he does after he gets to the hole, you can't teach. Remember, this kid's 5'7", 170 pounds. It's tough enough to figure out which direction he's going. Nice play by Sepolu, though. He's running hard and chasing people still, and good job by Arizona State.
Nebraska with 349 yards rushing. Rogers has 77 of them. 23 more. He'd be the second back for Nebraska in this game to go over 100. Taylor throws near sideline to Gregory. Got a quick screen out there for him, and he's driven out of bounds. Scott Walker, number 35, was in on the tackle.
I talked a lot about the Sun Devil defense tonight. I was kind of hitting on Nebraska early in the game, and they may have problems. They played a pretty good second half, the Nebraska defense.
A quality program, and Tom Osborne with one of the great records of all time in college football. And Taylor will leave with 8:07 to go in the ball game, and Jerry Godowski comes on. Excuse me, it's Mickey Joseph in at quarterback. Joseph gives off to Lance Lewis, a freshman at fullback out of Scott City, Kansas. Gets his 6th carry of the season. So Tom Osborne has called off the Dogs with 7:54 to go in the ballgame, up 40-16. Mike Patrick, Kevin Kiley, and Chris Fowler with you from Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers are on their way to their 3rd win of the season against one loss, that one coming to UCLA 2 weeks ago. Fisher at quarterback, a young man with unbelievable potential. Or Joseph, excuse me. Joseph inside the 30 to the 27.
You know, Mike, Mickey Joseph could have the same effect on the Arizona State defense that Terry Rogers had. I mean, this guy can fly. Sometimes he flies in the wrong direction, though. I mean, he's a little young. He needs to learn the offense, but he supposedly is the guy of the future, although there are some other ones. Mike Grant on the freshman team, 6'2", 195 pounds, and he's got part of those 80 points the other day, I bet.
They just reload here. 3rd and a yard. They give Rogers the toss. Rogers cuts it back, got a hole. 15-yard line down to the 10, chased down by Dillard, and Dillard showed some speed to make that tackle on Rogers.
You have to wait your turn to play offensive line here. Bill Babora has number 69. He's a backup. He's in the game. And Terry Rogers, he finds him on the outside. Rogers cuts back. There it is. Nice block on the corner by Babora, and Rogers coming up, picking up good yardage. Credit Bill Babora with an excellent block.
Clock down to 6.5 minutes left in the game. 1st and 10, Nebraska. Leotis Flowers into the ball game. The new tailback, Flowers to the 6. In on the tackle again, 47, Drew Metcalf, 99, Tim Landers.
Everybody's got style. Leotis is no different. Takes a little turn in the other way. I don't know what I'd think if I was playing defense.
Looks like he was leaving.
Yeah, he said, oh, wait a minute.
That was great.
He did correct himself in time, though.
5'11", 195. That's as nifty a counter move as you'll ever see. On the action, Joseph, touchdown, Nebraska.
When you get tired, there's not a whole lot you can do. Watch number 48 for Arizona State, Jeff Malstead. Trying to fall down when Joseph gets close to him. Whoop. From there on, it's clear sailing, and Joseph is in there.
Barrios with a point after. 47-16 Nebraska. 5 minutes, 42 seconds to go. The chance of an upset on the Arizona State sideline is over.
I believe.
At Porsche, we don't let you buy a car unless we've test-driven it first.
See your local authorized Porsche dealer.
47-16 Nebraska over Arizona State. It has not been really a runaway ball game. People that tuned in late should know that Arizona State was in this game for quite a while. And as Kevin pointed out earlier, they played very well.
They have a lot of things to take back to Tempe to be proud of, and I think this should be a plus for them, not a minus.
Cahoon and Winsley deep to receive. Winsley at the 2. Nice move to get away from one tackle and gets back to the 19-yard line. Let's go back to our studios and check in with Tim Brando.
We're going to take you to the Superdome, Mike Patrick, on the ensuing kickoff after a touchdown pass from Terrence Jones of Tulane. Charles Wilson sets free. Watch him find the seam right up the middle of the gap. No one can catch him. 95 yards. That tied the game at 10, Memphis State and Tulane. Toronto leading 1-0, 2 outs in the ninth. Steve pitching against Julio Franco. He's 1 out away from a no-hitter. Back to Mike.
Thank you, Tim. Arizona State ball at the 19-yard line. 5:36 to go in the game. And a gain of a yard for Cahoon. Some of the earlier scores today of major ball games that we'll have a chance to talk about a little bit. Southern Cal over Oklahoma 23-7. Rodney Peete did nothing to damage his Heisman Trophy chances. And Kevin, after seeing Oklahoma, I think we saw that one coming.
Well, not a surprise. Oklahoma's got young people defensively, a great program, but they can be stopped by strong, quick people. USC had them. So yeah, I think that game could have been a pick.
Cahoon across the 20-25, broke a couple of tackles, driven out of bounds to the 27-yard line. This game may have surprised some people, but if you had seen South Carolina and Georgia before, really shouldn't have been a surprise. It was talk about mismatches in basketball and matchups. This was a great matchup for South Carolina.
It was a game of matchups. South Carolina's great passing offense with Todd Ellis against a Georgia team that really did not play very good pass defense. So, and of course, Carolina's defense plays that 8-man line and had the people capable of stopping Georgia's great running attack. Game was in South Carolina, so that's not a surprise either.
3rd and 2 for the Sun Devils here in Lincoln. Fisher, the fullback, has the first down, running hard across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. That will be a first down for the Sun Devils. And the big game in the East, Pitt and Ohio State. The Mountaineers, the new beast of the East.
Yeah, well, I said last week that I thought West Virginia is where Pittsburgh wants to go. They have a very similar team, but Pittsburgh is a lot younger than West Virginia, and I think maturity was the difference in that game in Pitt.
Here's Winsley breaking into the secondary across midfield down to the 46-yard line. Mark Blazek made the stop. 17-yard gain for Winsley, the 5'5 junior.
Well, you can give me Winsley any team that I ever put together. I'll take David Winsley, 193 pounds. This guy's played a whale of a game, and there's a lot of pluses, as I said, for Arizona State. In a couple of years, this could be a powerhouse. They've got great young people. Winsley, a junior.
Justin is the quarterback. He wants to throw. He has time intended for Martin, incomplete at the 30-yard line. Another score update, we've got Tim Brando. Timmy?
All right, Mike, thank you very much. The final score is 1-0 Toronto. They get the victory. But for Julio Franco, it was a base hit. The base hit coming in the 9th inning with 2 outs against Dave Stieb. So the Blue Jays get the victory, but Stieb does not get his no-hitter. We'll have highlights of all of that in Sports Center with John Saunders. And, of course, I'll have the scoreboard show immediately following your game.
Thank you, Tim. 8 2/3. That's tough. Justin on a half roll. It's complete near a first down to Lynn James. Clock stopped as they moved the chain with 3:56 left.
As you look forward in the Big 8, there's an interesting situation developing here. This early in the year, both Oklahoma and Nebraska have a loss. You got Colorado. I haven't seen a score on them, but they were undefeated going in. And Oklahoma State undefeated. Colorado did win. Oklahoma State winning big. You may have a little bit of parity coming in the Big 8 here.
And Iowa State played Iowa very tough.
Yes.
Cahoon gets a couple more. Clock continues to run, approaching the 3:30 mark. Now, I think it's fair to say these are not vintage Nebraska or Oklahoma teams this year.
There's a lot of youth there. I think, as I said earlier, too, as you go through the season, Mike, these teams will mature. I think Oklahoma's defense and Nebraska's defense have the same problem. They had to replace a lot of people, and the history is there. The record is there. These teams will be excellent by the end of the year. Not that they're not now.
Stacked up Cahoon for a loss back at the 40-yard line. And in the WAC, that's been an exciting conference this year. Kevin, they pulled off some big wins.
Yeah, it's always been exciting. Brigham Young scored 20,000 points one year, I think. Wyoming came from way behind. I think they were actually 60 points behind in that game, and they won 48-45.
Well, I got 20,000 when you were playing defense for Wyoming.
Well, Welniak had a big day, and what a job Coach Roach has done up there. Incredible job.
Great story, too. Justin finally unloads it and throws it out of bounds. Roach, very similar to Larry Marmee at Arizona State. Longtime assistant coach. Finally gets a shot, and in Roach's case, at a rather advanced age to get your first head coaching job.
Well, I think Paul Roach had given up. I don't think... we talked to Larry Marmee about it, and he had almost given up. But I think Coach Roach had about quit on it. He found himself at the helm of Wyoming, and I bet you there's a lot of people that may have passed on Paul Roach in over the years that may be saying to themselves, you know, if I'd hired him, I might still have my job.
That's right.
That's an incredible job. He's just unbelievable. That's a powerhouse up there.
4th and 15. Justin in trouble, got away. Gunned that one over the middle, but behind Martin. And Nebraska will take over on downs.
Tough spot for backup quarterback. Yeah. You're looking, he's unhappy. He has a right to be unhappy. It's tough when they're laying their ears back and they're coming, trying to lay your ears back for you.
Yeah, he says they're far enough back already, thanks.
Yeah, he's puts the headsets on. I don't know why.
Jerry Godowski, the third Nebraska quarterback to play, is in there right now. As Joseph got his series. Godowski on the option, and he trips over the foot of Lewis, his fullback who was blocking for him, and tripped him up. Our presentation of CFA football continues next Saturday night when the Stanford Cardinal goes to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. Kevin, Chris Fowler, and I will be there for all the action. That starts at 7 o'clock Eastern. Fighting Irish still undefeated. 1:48 to go in the game. Rogers on the toss. Again, a big hole. Rogers with great balance and speed gets down to the 45. Well, he's going to be tough.
You wonder why Terry Rogers is running so hard. You know what he's playing for here? He's playing for a starting spot on the University of Nebraska football team, and I'm sure based on his dad's history that he will not settle for anything less. That's a great run.
Rogers now 109 coming into this game. Novak had over 100 yards. Tonight they've had 2. Flowers down to the 37-yard line. go down to the sideline, and Chris Fowler.
Okay, Mike, our weekly Banged Up Helmet Award goes to Nebraska center Jake Young. Let's see, we've got both Sun Devil colors represented on the helmet here, a lot of deep gouges, and as I spin it around, a little blood just above the ear hole. All in a night's work, Mike.
All right, Chris, is that yours?
Yeah, I'd like to see his fingers with all the grabbing he was doing in the first quarter.
I misspoke. Nebraska has had 300-yard rushers tonight because Taylor got his 100. Lewis, the fullback, down to the 35. Clock continues to run at 47 seconds. And of those 3 100-yard backs, our Casio player of the game is Ken Clark of Nebraska, averaged almost 6 yards a carry, 119 yards on 21 rushes. Coleman into the ball game for the first time as the I-back. And Coleman down to the 26.
You know, when you watch a film, when you're coaching and you go to a film, you go right to the end of the film. Go to the last part of the game, see who's still playing under these conditions defensively, and move them up on the depth chart. Guy who's been in the game, who's still pounding it.
411 yards rushing for Nebraska tonight, and they finally wore down Arizona State. Dunlap in at quarterback on the option. And got down to the 17-yard line. They said he was out of bounds and stopped the clock with 1 second left. The Nebraska team is on the field, and the officials are going to wave them back. Tom Osborne is walking out there saying, hey, let's get out of here. Come on. It is win number 150 in Tom Osborne's brilliant career. And now Osborne and the Huskers are going to keep coming anyway, and it's over. Kevin, it was 150 wins in his career for Tom Osborne. It's certainly not the greatest team he's ever had, but they'll do just fine.
You know, Tom Osborne's record speaks for itself, Mike. I don't think he needs to be defended, or he really doesn't even need kudos. All you have to do is look in the record book.
That's right.
And he's there about 1 million times. For Arizona State, the people back in Tempe, I think they should be encouraged. The score is by no means an indication of the way this game went. It was a great effort by a young team that was outmanned and physically really did not match up against Nebraska. So I think both teams have a real reason to be proud of their efforts. And down the road, we'll see Nebraska in the Big 8, and we'll see Arizona State, I think, next year. They will come to probably national prominence, if not the year after. They have excellent young people.
Final score from Lincoln, Nebraska 47, Arizona State 16. Nebraska goes to 3-1, Arizona State to 2-1. For Kevin Kiley and Chris Fowler, Mike Patrick, thanks for watching. Let's go back to Tim Brandon.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And 47-16, the final. The Cornhuskers get the win. And we've got a lot to cover here on our college football scoreboard show, all the way up until 11 p.m. A miraculous finish in Columbus, Ohio, and a huge upset in Happy Valley as Penn State went down to Rutgers. But the biggest story of this night is a story that broke late after Alabama demolished Vanderbilt by a score of 44-10. This story did not run on the wire systems until a very short time ago. Bobby Humphrey, truly a Heisman candidate. In fact, today, he rushed for 101 yards. He has apparently broken a bone in his left foot. The sports information director there, Steve Townsend, says we're going to wait until tomorrow, but it does appear as if Humphrey will be out for the remainder of the season. You'll recall he was on crutches prior to the start of the season. He had already had all kinds of injuries going into the beginning of this year. Also, Gene Jelks, who had a 37-yard punt return and likely would have been the candidate to replace Humphrey in the backfield. He had already been converted into a defensive backfield position. He has a knee injury that will cost him, apparently, the remainder of the year. So a number of injuries for Bill Curry. He lost his quarterback just a week ago, you'll recall. So all of that happening to Alabama in the postmortem of that victory over Vanderbilt. Now, let's quickly update you on some other scores. A major score here. Oklahoma State, yeah, they were favored in this game, but only by a field goal. 52-15, they're beating Texas A&M. Couple of questions, maybe. A&M had a couple of weeks off. Perhaps they got stale, the probation, as this team chunked it in. You never know. But the Cowboys are winning for Pat Jones, 52-15. North Texas, the Mean Green, 21-14 over the Texas Longhorns. Now remember, North Texas Division I AA's #1 team had already beaten Texas Tech. Looks like a surprise, but maybe not as much of a surprise as some could think. Boston College and TCU, this game now at halftime. The Horned Frogs of Coach Jim Wacker have a 10-3 lead. Texas Tech and Baylor. We already mentioned what the Mean Green did to Texas Tech. Look what's happening to Baylor. Grant Taft's team going down 23-0. Billy Joe Tolliver, a 35-yard touchdown pass in that game. UTEP and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, the Miners, with a 3-point lead over Tulsa. That game now in the fourth quarter. Memphis State and Tulane, a 95-yard kick return that we showed you in the waning moments of that Nebraska game. It's now tied at 10 in the third quarter. The Citadel, the Black Knights of the Ashley River, pull one out against the Middies, 42-35 today. D. Brown, a 6-yard run. Adrian Johnson, a 1-yard run, the key there to win the ball game. North Carolina State and Maryland, 30-26 the final in this ball game. NC State had blown them out just a year ago. And we've got a lot more yet to come in our college football scoreboard show. We're with you all the way up until 11 o'clock when SportsCenter gets here. Dino Cook will join me. We'll have a lot more when we come back.
Imagine you were a car. What would you be? You'd be a sports car. You'd be quick, agile. You'd be turbocharged. And of course, you'd be a Porsche.
See your local authorized Porsche dealer.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you in the way you look tonight. Lovely, don't you ever change. 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight.
One taste will tell you why.
Just the way you look tonight.
The night belongs to Michelob.
He loves baseball.
Could have been the start. Except I couldn't hit.
Or catch. Or pitch.
I watch a good game.
What a gift. And Kraft can help you with this great baseball watching sandwich. You take roast beef slices and heat them in Kraft barbecue sauce, put them on hard roll and top with slices of Velveeta. That's good food and good food ideas from Kraft. He's so athletic.
College Football Scoreboard is being brought to you by your local authorized Porsche dealer.
Tim Brando back with our college football scoreboard show. After our CFA doubleheader today, we know you enjoyed it. Thanks for staying with us, and stay with us a little longer. We're going to bring you up to date with everything else that's been going on today. LSU and Ohio State. Well, the Big Ten's been taking it on the chin. We're partially responsible, but they deserved it. They were 7-15 as a conference coming in. LSU representing the powerful SEC, and you figured this could be Ohio State's chance to give the Big Ten something to crow about. It happened early. Look at this. Vince Clark blocking the punt of Rene Bourgeois. Michael McRae picks it up, runs for a score. 14-3 Buckeyes. But then Tommy Hudson went to work for LSU. He's just a junior. He'll be a fifth-year senior next year. Watch this move right here by Tony Moss. That cut the Buckeye lead to 14-10. Hudson rallied the Tigers to 26-20 in the fourth, looking for Moss again. It's tipped high into the air. Alvin Lee pulls it down. And at that point, it was 33-20 with just 4 minutes left. Looks like the Bayou Bengals are going to cruise. But watch out. Carlos Snow, loose on the turf, and it was 33-27. They got 2 off a safety that LSU took off a punt, and that won it. Bobby Olive, 20-yard reception with 44 seconds left from Greg Fry, and a huge win for the Buckeyes, who were buried just a week ago by the Pitt Panthers. They come from behind to do it. 36-33. Our congratulations to John Cooper, and I'm sure the Big Ten would like to congratulate him as well on a huge win. Now, Rutgers and Penn State. Folks, this is the upset of the day. It had been since 1918 that the Scarlet Knights had beaten Penn State. They had lost 15 of their last 16 meetings, 15 in a row in Happy Valley. Third quarter, they're getting it done on the ground. Mike Body up the middle to make it 14-10 Rutgers. Still in the third. Body again. barreling off a couple of would-be tacklers. Now it's sheer speed, and it's 21-10. Rutgers up. Still in the third. Penn State ball at the Rutgers 47. Big play here. Tom Bill, the quarterback. He's been in and out of the lineup. He fumbles after being sacked. He's out of the game. He hurt his knee. He's out for the remainder of the contest. Enter freshman, highly heralded, out of New Jersey, Tony Saka, in at quarterback right here for Penn State. Now he does the right thing. He handles it to Gary Brown, and he does the rest. Tough 4-yard run to make it 21-16. The 2-point conversion fails. Under a minute left. Penn State with 4 shots inside the 3. The young freshman had just missed an open receiver on 3rd down. Now on 4th down. Looking, throwing. Outstanding defense there by the Scarlet Knights. No penalty in the end zone. In fact, maybe not enough penalties for Joe Paterno today as his student Dick Anderson pulls off the upset win.
That's about as badly officiated game as I've been in a long, long time. They lost. It seemed like nobody was in control of the game. So much indecision. They looked hesitant. It looked like they weren't ready for the game either. And without getting into any specific calls, because I don't think the bad officiating bothered us any more than it bothered Rutgers. And I mean, it was not the result of the, it had nothing to do with the outcome of the game, but it just was a badly officiated football game.
All right, so the final score, Rutgers 21-16 over Penn State. Bino Cook, who joins me. Boy, we've been hearing a lot of this lately. Bo Schembechler last week. We talked about split crews on College Game Day earlier today. Split crews not the problem in this game, and Paterno doing a lot of barking.
Well, let's face it, Tim. A lot of strange things have happened at Penn State. Ask Alabama in 1983 and Nebraska in 82, where the end caught the pass on 3rd down. He was in Philadelphia, and the official said he's in bounds. However, in this game, when it was 4th and 10 for Penn State, they get the first down. Even if they didn't get the first down, there would have been defensive holding. Listen, Paterno has no complaints about the officiating in that game.
Well, he had 4 cracks. He had 4 cracks. He had 4 cracks. Couldn't get it in.
The funny part, usually Penn State makes that.
Yeah,
usually.
You predicted it when we were starting our game earlier in the day.
If the game is 7 points or less, Joe Paterno finds a way to win.
All right, let's move on now. On a huge game for the Badgers of Wisconsin against the Miami Hurricanes. Well, Wisconsin's had a tough road to hoe early this season with non-conference losses against teams not as good as Miami. But today, they got the Hurricanes, and it was tough for Miami early in this outing. Let's show you how this one developed. In the second quarter, Wisconsin's Tony Lowry blows the pitch. Bernard Clark grabs it and goes 55 yards. Touchdown, Miami. They're up 7-3. Still in the second, Miami ball. Steve Walsh throws to the end zone. Andre Brown makes the grab, 14-3 at that time. They go on to win it by a final score of 23-3. Let's move on in college football. Other scores that we need to bring you up to date on. And Oklahoma and USC coming in had to be the intersectional game of the day. Barry Switzer's had a lot of bad luck against the Trojans. 0-2-1 coming in, over 86,000 on hand. No score in the first quarter. Hot Rod Pete, a Heisman candidate, hands it to Aaron Emanuel, and he scores from 5 yards out. The scoring plays were coming on the ground, and great defense all day for USC. Here, Holloway on the option gets hit by, and look at that. The ball's loose. Don Gibson comes up with the recovery. 1 of 6 turnovers on the day for Oklahoma. Next play for USC, Emanuel, again from 6 yards out. His second touchdown of the game. It was 17-0 Trojans. Jamel Holloway got benched in the 4th. He wasn't very effective. Neither was Charles Thompson. Here he gets picked off by Chris Hale. And number 2 is loose. That was his second interception of the day. And it was enough said for Barry Switzer. He had seen all he needed to see as USC comes up with the victory today with a final score 23-7. Now, what this means is that Barry Switzer has a loss, Tom Osborne has a loss, and the likelihood of the Orange Bowl having the national championship at stake, at least for the moment, seems to be dwindling a bit. And for us to say that this early usually is very, very rare. Let's move on now and talk about some other games. Tennessee and Auburn. Now, the Tigers at home in Jordan-Hare Stadium against a Tennessee team that was 0-3 and a coach that's certainly in the hot seat, Johnny Majors. First quarter, Tennessee leading 3-0. Reggie Slack hits Alexander Wright. Watch him turn on the afterburners right here. Freddie Wagan, number 14 at the top of your screen, made a great block there to shield them in. You have to block as a wide receiver in college football. That made it 7-3. In the third quarter, Auburn leading 17-6. Reggie Cobb takes the pass from Francis, buried right there by Carlo Cheatham. The recovery at the 5, that would lead to the touchdown that would ice it. Auburn goes on to win it by a final score of 38-6. The game not close. Lawyer Tillman even sat out of this game with a pulled hamstring, and he's really the #1 item in the Auburn offensive arsenal. Georgia and South Carolina, the Gamecocks are